PKA, episode 483 with our guest Steve Hofstetter. Kyle?
Yeah, a couple sponsors tonight, Sqaurespace, Postmates, and Manscaped. We'll get to them later. But yeah, brand new episode of everyone's favorite show. So yeah, got our buddy Steve back with us. Don't tilt your head when I say everyone's
I thought you were
going to
say favorite guest, but instead you went with complimenting us.
No, I'm telling the truth tonight. All right?
Wow. I thought I would get insulted first
shellacking.
by Kyle, but Kyle was just talking about the show, and Woody's like, wait, aren't you going to say that people don't like him?
Yeah,
No, I didn't
it
say
up, I
that.
knock them down. I can't stop.
I thought he was going to say everyone's
I happen
favorite
to
guest.
like you. Blame him.
Woody's like, Kyle, you didn't fully understand the implication of your statement to begin the
Yeah.
show. You know?
You'd be like, Kyle, didn't you listen to 2 episodes ago that he was on? They hated that one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah,
you're
good to be
drinking?
back, though, guys.
Steve, what's
Diet
new?
Pepsi. I just drank like a black coffee, so now a Diet Pepsi tastes like candy.
Nice.
Kyle, can I ask you, because one of the first things I thought of when I heard that everyone had to stay inside was I was like, oh, I think I know someone whose life wouldn't change.
Yeah, not too much. I haven't been in my car in like 2 weeks now. Like I do go out to do stuff. Like I like to play a little airsoft. I like to go to the movies. I love doing like shopping at fancy places because I like to cook. I like to go get really gourmet stuff, but I am locked down. We've talked about it at length on the show, but so
I'm
not
sure.
to go too far into it. But yeah, I'm quarantined down because I really don't want to get this thing because I really don't want to pass it on to family members who'd be more susceptible.
Yeah.
And I don't want to joke about Corona at all. It's not
Right.
It's not
It
a
is
laughing
not a
matter.
joking matter.
Kyle, I think
I
I'm more
actually
locked
have-
down than you. I went outside. I took the golf cart to get my trash cans, and it's like there's killer bees in the atmosphere. Like I'm like, is it safe out here? I haven't been out here for 2 weeks. I got to get back in a hurry. It's I don't know.
I have an older neighbor who is a bit of an asshole, and so I've just been touching everything.
Oh, fingers crossed, my
Going over
man.
there and just, yeah,
This could be the end of him.
rubbing my face against his door. You never know, right?
So
Yeah.
Doing what I can.
on PKN, Kyle and I we disagreed. I thought everyone was going to get corona, and the whole purpose of the social distancing and such was just so that everyone didn't get it at the same time. That once after the first time you get it, you you kind of develop a resistance to it, and the next time around is not
It's
very
like
serious.
AIDS. Yeah.
And is that what
Wait, Kyle,
impression is,
you've never gotten double eights?
Triple.
what impression is
Triple
everyone
AIDS.
else under? Are you
Ear
guys thinking
AIDS.
that this just won't spread through society and it'll die because of the quarantine?
Yeah, absolutely. There are tons of viruses that none of us ever had, like H1N. Or like I've never had swine
Like
flu,
swine flu,
or the avian
bird flu,
the avian
yeah.
flu. I never got Rocky Mountain fever or West Nile virus. Like they contain these things, and they
You do have
and they
yellow
basically
fever, though.
stamp them out.
Yeah.
Oh, I've
Jungle
got
fever.
yellow.
Yeah, and
If you could see my search results, if I could get one of those lovely, she was on the way. This quarantine has locked my yellow fever down.
that poor bitch is stuck in a fucking shipping crate in the
They got
middle
her
of the
too-
Atlantic.
They got
Oh
her
my
two
God.
in circles out there somewhere in the Gulf of Mexico right now. I
missed you
hope they
guys.
put those air holes in like I requested.
That's so fucking funny.
I fact checked our conversation, and it turns out both of our ideas were like viable alternatives, according to what I saw.
I actually think it's somewhere. I think it's somewhere in the middle. What they're doing is they're trying to space out who gets it, because the whole thing is, and a lot of people I don't know if you saw those spring break idiots in Florida, like that video of the people.
Oh,
just being
yeah.
like, yeah, I'm not canceling my trip. This is such a bummer. I'm indestructible.
Every one of those kids was
my-
unattractive. Carry on.
Yeah.
Ugly group of spring breakers.
That's the
and
real-
I-
real
they're
crime.
Like, we're not going to catch anything. We're not even going to catch herpes. No one will touch us. I think the big problem with it is not the 2% of people who will die. It's the 18% of people who it'll really fuck up and who need hospital beds with respirators. And we only have a limited number of respirators in the country. And
Yeah.
so if everybody gets it at once, well, those 18% could die, or they could just be fucked for life, or whatever it is. But then there's also, Kyle is right, because then there's also, us trying to stave it off long enough until we have treatments, until we have
Vaccines.
vaccines. That would be the medical word. Until we have the
the good
ability to
shots.
counteract this. Yeah, exactly. Until we have enough drugs, right, guys?
Yeah.
They give you autism, those vaccines. I'm pretty
It's
sure.
gone
it's-
from,
It'd be
like,
better than coronavirus at this point if you're over the age of 60. See, that's why I definitely like bump way up against this idea that everybody's going to get it, because the mortality rates of people who are in certain age brackets, it's like, all right, all the people over 70 are not going to die, because that's just not a thing.
Yeah,
But if you look at the mortality rates of
this
people who
is
are
new.
70 and then 80
Like
and above, like it starts
15%
getting
or
into the
something.
it starts getting like 60% at 80.
Does it?
It's
Okay.
like
If you're
scaring
over
the
80,
shit out of
you
them.
are up shit creek if you catch this.
And there's
for
a
the
lot
most
more
part.
people that are 80 and above.
Or if you
than
don't.
you might think.
Yeah, or if you don't, really probably similar life expectancy, whether or not you get the coronavirus if you're 87.
Oh,
I actually think the only reason that like we are tackling it as much as possible is because this is like an old white guy killer. Like this absolutely ravages old white guys, and that's who's in charge. And so they're just like, we need to handle this immediately. This
who
is something-
you
like
know
if-
who is actually
Right,
resistant to it? I've read people with O blood. Type O.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
I
weird.
heard
Really?
that.
my whole family.
Did you read this on like a Facebook meme or on like a?
It was a Reddit meme.
Sean Hannity.
Yeah, it was on hand. Dude, the MAGA like
I was on the science
grifter
subreddit.
crowd has been so funny. Where like I could follow a bunch of the people from all stripes on Twitter just to see their funny takes on things,
Mhm.
and like I have to like see screenshots of that idiot Bill Mitchell's tweets because he blocked me a long time ago, and like all of them.
Who's
were
Bill
just
Mitchell? I can't be the only one that
He's
doesn't
one
know.
of those like you just gotta trust the plan. He's playing 10D. He's one of those
Okay.
guys. One of the 10D
Yeah.
chess, absolute, room
A
temperature
lot
IQ
of
people.
D's.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, more D's than you want. And so, like, you see all those guys for the longest time. It was, this is the flu. Look at how many people normally die of the flu. Look at this, look at that. And then Trump makes one statement where he's like, this is actually pretty fucked. Everybody should probably stay inside for 15 days, 30 days. I don't know. This is pretty scary though, guys. And suddenly all those same people are like I've been saying, and like, Grandmaster Trump agrees that we need to be staying indoors, and it's like, dude, you're a piece
The
of shit.
Cyclops has spoken, boys. Let's pack it up and go home. What is the test? Because
Well, I didn't say Grand Wizard. I said Grandmaster because he's playing 10D chess.
I follow.
Yeah,
I thought.
Oh, I went in my head. I was
I
definitely.
went the wrong way
Grand
too.
Wizard.
Yeah, we were all
Yeah.
confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, missed the mark with that.
Not
one.
the most
We're gonna-
sophisticated crowd. You're
No, but in fairness,
Tamp that
hey,
down.
that joke was 2D. So
Yeah, it was
2D joke. Yeah.
So-
What is the test? I wonder right now. The actual procedure that is done. It's not a mouth swab. I know that's what they're working on. That's what Trump was talking about. This self-administered mouth swab that they want to get out in the tens of thousands. But like, what is it right now? Because he kept saying it's he's like, because the current test, I can tell you, it's no fun. And I'm just what did they do to you?
Yeah, when I heard him say that,
Sounding.
when I heard them say that, I really thought like someone like the idea of like, you hold the nuts, you turn and cough type of thing. I was like, did they hold them a lot? Did they squeeze them? Did they hold it like,
or
what
maybe
did
it's
they
a stool
finger
sample?
in the ass? Like, what
Maybe
did they
they
do
got
to
to
him?
go up your ass and get some real deep stool. Like he made
Yeah.
it sound like they gave him a colonoscopy to determine whether he had this or not. It's
like,
probably
I can just picture like a nurse being like, "All right, hun," like pulling out a swab, and you open your mouth. She's like, "Guess again."
you bend over. She's like,
Guess
Closer.
again.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna stick this metal rod down your penis hole, and if you scream, you don't have it. It's like, well, you are
The
safe,
test
sir. We
might
haven't had a
also not
single
a
case all day.
You're also not a witch. You're a
Yeah.
wizard.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I would guess it's blood plasma. So I don't know what he's being silly about. Maybe it's they didn't spinal tap that man.
They probably gave him an owie. Like they like
He
drew
mentioned
blood.
it twice. Like he made it
Yeah.
sound like it was bad, and like it came off to me like he was being a bit of a pussy. Like
Well, have
I'd
you
like
ever
to
had an
know the
STD
procedure.
test?
Well, wait, it's a respiratory disease, so maybe they made him do light exercise. The test.
Mr. Trump, we're gonna need you to step over here. No.
They made it.
Let me die.
You're gonna have to run on a treadmill for 4 minutes. Fuck this.
They're like, and you
I'm
can't
out.
be eating a hamburger while you're doing it.
I made it to 74 without ever
terrible.
touching one of these things. I'm not starting now.
It's like the CPR class episode of The Office when Kevin's on the dummy and he's like, "How long have I been going?" She's like, About 30 seconds, 4 more minutes to go. He goes, call it.
Call it.
Call it. That's the best episode ever, by the way. I'm an Office aficionado. The CPR episode, if anybody wants. I think it's even a two-parter.
Yeah,
that scene in
they're
particular.
like, you do the beats to the scene to staying alive. So he does the beginning. First time how does it start at the beginning?
No, it's funnier than that.
Okay.
Like it's joke. He goes, yeah, the good way. Michael starts going shoo, like rapid fire CPR, and they're like, a good way to keep time, Michael, because they've got a lady to train everybody is to do it to the beat of Staying Alive, and he goes, huh? No, he does the wrong song. He's like, you can't tell by the way I move my and then everybody starts singing for some reason because Andy's a singer, and then Kelly jumps up and starts dancing, and then the next thing you know, Dwight has gone over there and cut the face off the dummy with a knife and he's wearing hello, Clarice. And now Stanley, who's the whole reason they're doing this because Michael gave Stanley a heart attack, and Michael doesn't want to admit his fallibility and giving Stanley a heart. It's wonderful episode.
Yeah.
Solid one.
We're talking about Corona. Did you see the North Carolina Senator Richard Burr and the controversy he's in?
Does he have it? I don't know.
Did he fuck a boy?
No, there's two congressmen that just got it though.
So here I have an article.
Oh no!
Secret recordings have come out.
Politicians
that says that he told his wealthy donors about the impact of the coronavirus weeks ago, right? So publicly, Trump is saying it's a Democratic hoax. Richard Burr himself is saying that this is a small thing. It's no big deal. Privately, he's saying this is equivalent to the 1918 virus that killed 600,000 people. We'll be shutting down schools. He personally sold off $1.56 million worth of stocks before the crash.
Whoa.
He said this would be as bad as the Spanish flu. That killed millions, didn't it?
He called it the 1918 pandemic. I wouldn't know if that's the same
nobody
thing.
calls it that. It's on Wikipedia as the Spanish flu.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm surprised he wasn't like
flus, but
he wasn't just like the 1918 Chinese flu. You know, through other countries.
Apparently, the reason that it's called
when I was a boy.
When I was a boy, I got the flu.
Yes.
I had the Spanish flu. It was awful.
He sold off his stocks. He said different things privately to his wealthy donors than he did publicly to his constituents in America, and he looks guilty as fuck.
Is this illegal, or is this just like a tremendously shitty thing to do? Like, is that like a form of insider? I guess not.
The article didn't mention anything illegal, so I don't know actually if there's
lying's not illegal.
What a piece of shit!
No, I think he's fine.
Yeah,
I don't think he did anything illegal.
Just fuck that guy anyway.
Well, he's a terrible
he did,
senator.
However, buy all the toilet paper in North Carolina.
I don't know if he came out 3 months ago and said, "Well, boys, pack it up, game over."
Just overall, just prayers up to all of our senators who catch this disease.
He serves on the Senate Intelligence Committee, and he had privileged information that he shared with donors, but not with people. That seems shitty.
Yeah, that seems like one of those things.
How can you defend that?
No, that's a nice guy to me.
Okay,
that seems like one of those things.
Seems smart.
That should be over the top illegal, but because it would negatively impact any sort of donor, those laws don't get written. Like laws about, like they're not going to write laws where it's like, and if you give me $1 million, I tell you a little tip or a trick, you're going to jail. It's like, okay, well, then I'm not giving you $1 million. All right, well, scratch that bill. I'm not putting that onto the floor.
I used to do a joke that the way laws get passed is like oppressive laws go away when it becomes inconvenient for the ruling class.
Yeah.
And so like back in the day, it was illegal for a woman to remarry when her husband died. And then at one point, a really hot woman's husband died, and they were like, "Oh shit, this is a dumb rule," and that's basically how it works. But right now, like the ruling class is very, very happy to have the information before everybody else.
Yeah, and they always will. More likely than not.
Yeah.
So.
Well, anyway, what have you been up to, Steve? Anything new?
We're actually live streaming a comedy club now. Because
cool.
Comedians can't work for the next couple of months.
Do they know you put your name on the wall?
Steve, only comedians who perform in front of large gatherings. I think you're fine.
It's I'll be absolutely right. It's no, it's 10 or more.
No, don't worry, Steve.
So 12 people is the problem.
Two of you have got to get out of here.
I had three sold out 12 people shows, and it was real rough. No, so we're doing we're doing a live stream comedy club at /hang on my YouTube, and so 3 comedians perform on each one. And we have like a webcast audience, because a lot of people are live streaming stand up, and it's the saddest fucking thing you'll ever see, because they're just doing it to silence. And so what we did is we're like, okay, we're gonna have
my stream was pretty good.
It's the. By the way, Taylor, you have no fucking idea how many people message me from the show and say, "Hey, can you convince Taylor to do stand-up comedy?" I'm like, that is up to Taylor. That is absolutely not up to me.
Yeah, not
Like,
gonna
but
get
just
bullied
tell him he'll be good. And I'm like, yeah, he knows he's funny. But yeah, so we're doing a live stream of it, and then we're having special guests. Like Arian Foster is doing it with us next week, and Sean Doolittle
nice.
from the Nationals is going to sit on one tomorrow. So sometimes a celebrity guest is a comic, and sometimes it's just a fun famous person. So it's
That's awesome.
it's
man.
a way for comedians to still work.
Cool. 2 things. One, where do they find that? I didn't like. What would the URL?
Oh, it's live streamed on my YouTube. So just youtube.com/the Hofstetter. But it's called the Social Distancing Social Club.
Gotcha.
And
Nice.
The other,
because everything has social distancing in the name, and we all thought we were really creative, and it turns out we're not.
That's the way it goes.
I watched John Oliver do his thing, which I don't love, but I usually enjoy. I find it to be a little biased, but he did it recently in front of a white screen with no audience laughing. Oh my gosh. It makes you realize how effective the audience is at persuading you that something's funny. It is.
That man needs a laugh track.
Yeah.
That guy is
ASAP.
tremendously unfunny. Tremendous.
He's got good writers. He has fun jokes and fun sight gags. But when it comes down to, like, I don't know, his delivery sometimes is poor. And I like that he still paused like for the laughter. It was
Really
almost
did
like
That's
Yeah.
it was
hilarious.
almost like, I'm sure he was like, "All right, honey, let's watch the show." He plays it. I'm Australian now, by the way. And he plays it. And he's like, "Oh shit, where's the laugh track?"
Yeah,
No,
so
you
Yeah.
bubbling fools.
I think he's pretty funny. I
Bubbling.
think he delivers okay, but I do realize that without the laugh track, it's not the same. You know, he does that gag he's done
Well,
a
he's got a
million
live
times
audience.
now, where he puts up the map up there and he says, "This is Bolivia, a country you know so little about. That's not even Bolivia. This is Bolivia." And then like he does that,
Mhm.
and it works. And I laughed at it the first couple of times. Without the audience, it falls
Yeah.
flat.
Well, see what you
Yeah.
just said. That's a pretty funny visual gag, though. I like
Yeah,
that. Like
yeah.
that's a good one. Like, but
Bill Hicks did release an album. Well, they released an album after he died of it called the Flying Saucer Tour, and it was one of the same sets he did on one of his specials. It was like as he was working up the material, but it's 80% the same, and he's bombing. And it is fascinating to listen to, because it's the same jokes that and kill, and you've heard get laughs, and it just sounds like they're not good jokes.
When a
it's really
comedian
weird without an audience.
when a comedian bombs, did the comedian do something differently that time, or sometimes it's just the audience?
Well, I feel like you're setting me up for a joke about how I don't know anything.
This is not a setup. I'm asking you as a
I-
comedic expert. That was where I was coming from.
I appreciate that. So sometimes it is. Sometimes like the comedian's just not connecting, but sometimes it's also you just take one wrong swing up front, and then suddenly the audience isn't as interested, and it's
Mhm.
quicksand. It's the more or I don't know if quicksand is a real thing, but it's the movie version of quicksand where you
been in
you
quicksand.
suddenly make like any move you make is the wrong move, and you struggle more, and because of that it gets worse and worse.
I think it can be a thing
and
where,
you keep
like,
sinking.
like I've been to a couple of clubs in Atlanta, and if the guy that preceded you, for example, whoever, really
Yeah.
killed and really got us like all fired up, and we're already in that like post laugh euphoria. It's almost like post coital euphoria. You're like, oh man, I'm feeling good about everything right now. And you've had a couple of drinks by this point too. The next guy's gonna kill. I feel like if somebody comes up and just absolutely bombs, and we had that. There was I don't know what it was. Who is the comedian who has muscular dystrophy or cerebral palsy or something, like Josh Green or something? Like, I don't
Josh
know.
Blue.
Blue. Yeah. It was his night. And it must have been the Special Olympics of comedy, because they had a little person go up before him, and that guy did very poorly. And then seemingly, I don't know if it was a bit or if this actually happened, but somebody just ran up and grabbed the mic when nobody was attending it and started doing like 3 minutes of comedy and then was hauled away.
Why was no one attending it? Like that's weirdest. What club
exactly
was this?
That's why I'm like, was that a bit? Was that a comedian who thought it'd be funny to be like, all right, guys, and just
because the basic rule is like don't leave the stage empty. Like any professional comedian knows, because like you'll see like a handoff. You'll see like an early host who sometimes they'll call someone up and they'll start walking off stage, and it's like, no, do not take your last foot off that stage until someone else is on it, leaving the stage empty, because it does create like a little bit of weirdness, a little bit of a lag.
Mm-hmm.
But Kyle, what you were saying, basically there are two problems. Either someone can eat shit beforehand and then it's hard to dig your way out of that, or someone can kill too hard and then it's hard to dig your way out of that.
Yeah.
And so a good host will kind of reset the table. Whether they do a great joke or whether they just talk to the crowd for a second, they have to take the taste of the last comic out of their mouth.
I'll say this about that night of comedy. I'm sorry to interrupt you. The host was the funniest guy there. The host was the funniest guy there. We would be like, what's this guy doing? 5 minutes? And you get to 6 minutes, you'd be like, oh, he's doing 10. Shit. The host, we got to wait 5 more minutes for the host, boys. Because the host would come out and it was like, I'm sure he's doing the same bit every night. Of course, most comedians are, but I doubt he's trying out new material. And it's just killing. He's got, if the guy before him bombed, he's just like, whoa, all right then. That was, he makes fun of that guy a little bit lightheartedly, at least. And he'll pick at the crowd a little bit, talk about the drink prices or something. I don't know. He was just funny. He was so light with his, he had no fear. You could see that for sure. And the States, you could sense that. Sorry. You can sense that if they go up there and they're nervous or they're scared. And there's something about us. We're predators. We see that and we smell it. You can smell that fear, just like a dog or whatever. You're just like, oh, I could pick on this guy. He's not alphaing his way up there to that microphone. You could just tell that, like, I'm gonna cross my arms and really make it bad for him.
I like that Kyle went to Predator Night at the local comedy club.
Yeah.
Get in for $5.
Yeah, all felons all night.
Yeah,
no drinks, boys. Tested tomorrow. Let's come it up here. They're not testing me right now. I mean, I've interrupted you for a second time. I apologize.
No. Go ahead.
So the piss testing must have been curtailed to only the most dangerous and of my fellow felons who are on probation, because they do this thing. I've explained it before, but I call a number and then a lady reads out a string of numbers. She's like, the following people will report to their designated locations tomorrow and bring a picture ID. For urine analysis, the numbers are, and then she reads out this big, and she starts at like 1, and the random numbers. You never know if it's going to be your number, but she goes to 1,000, so it's like a 6-minute recording.
Jeez.
And she might go 1, 52, 78, 113, or sometimes it's like 102, 104, 107, 108. And you're just like, I'm 244, and I like to think that my low number is representative of my low risk. They start at 900 now. Like, and the 900 people, those are the motherfuckers that get tested on Saturdays, Sundays, holidays, every time. Like, it seems like if your number is 900 to 1,000, there could be an asteroid bearing down on us. And they'd be like, 937, today's your day. Let's make sure you haven't been easing the pain.
Did you guys already talk about like the kind of the what if timing wise of like, Kyle, if this happened while you were in prison, like what the hell, what your life would be like?
We've discussed that prison would be a bad place to be right now with this. It would be scary.
Yeah.
I think that they've locked the prisons down to some extent. They're not allowing visitations. But yeah, it would have been extra scary if I were in prison, because once it gets in there, sometimes there were 3 of us in a cell. There weren't really cells, but they were like cubes is what we called them. They're open air, no door, no roof, but we're all close proximity. 200 men using the same shower facility, bathroom facility, everything.
Yeah.
2 microwaves between 200 people. Everybody's just opening that shit. Washing your hands was important in prison, though. I didn't wash my hands once after I pissed, and I got scolded.
The guards go home every night, so when it does get introduced to a prison, it'll run through like wildfire, I suspect.
Yeah.
Did you ever see The Stand?
Yes, I read The Stand while I was in prison.
I just think while you were in prison, because I just think of like that scene where I forget the guy's name, but the one guy who like is in prison during the super virus and survives, but then he's still stuck there. Like that's just what I picture.
The Stand was interesting. That virus kills super fast and is super virulent at the same time. So like that opening scene where you've got like a family of 3 or something like coasting into the gas station pumps, and they're all like, "What's going on in there?" And they're all blood coming out of their eyes, and they've shit themselves. And that's at least we're not dealing with something like that.
Yeah, yet. Give it
yet. That's called Corona Extra.
Yeah. The new sponsor of the podcast.
Young people get Corona Light.
Yeah.
I bet you can get Corona as a sponsor right now, cheap as fuck.
What do you think what do you think will go away? Because when we come out of this, and look, we're going to come out of this, but when we come out of this, society will be changed in a profound way. Nobody ever predicted anything that would make us stay indoors for a couple of weeks, let alone the possibility of a couple of months. When we come out of this, do you think that there's some stuff that people were like fighting for that they thought mattered, that they're not like the idea of like those idiots who identify as animals? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
like the people who are just like, I really want you guys to call me a snake. I just feel like I'm a snake. Like, will that person just come out of their house and be like, "Hey, I'm sorry, guys. I'm just happy to be alive. Like, it's cool. We're outdoors now."
No, they'll just be more express. I think they'll take it the other way. Life is short, boys. Let's get our clopping shoes on and let's clop around town on all fours with a horse head jiggling around. No, you get in the back. We're No, I think they'll do that. I think what will change. Because you said nobody predicted this. Yeah. Nobody reputable predicted this. There's a whole group of crazies who have been predicting this for a long time. I did a video once. One of those prepper TV shows, like Doomsday Preppers, paid me to do a video for them, and very popular show that spawned several copycats, and it's a real thing. And I've met some of these people who are extreme preppers, like millions of dollars spent on prepping. To the point where it's like, you'll be the Negan of your state. Like people who have giant air filtration systems for like huge underground facilities. People who have like anti-aircraft guns and tanks of their own and have stockpiled ammunition for those things, weapon caches, and just silly stuff like National Guard level preparation. And then there's plenty of people who just have like a bunker in their backyard with an air hole and enough food for a year.
All right. I got so much. Steve, I think work from home policies will change for good. That's my prediction. I think that lots of people will got a taste for working from home in offices where they didn't do that before, and will become a viable way to do their jobs. That I think will happen.
Do you think that meetings will finally fucking be emails? No. Like all the time that they have like these stupid weekly meetings that they could have been an email.
It'll just be a conference call.
Yeah,
conference calls. I think conferences will turn into shows. I think that maybe more often, instead of 1,500 people, 40,000 people going to E3, it'll just turn into a well-produced display show.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
I think the capability for the infrastructure that will support those things might be more in place and more readily available in case there is another thing like this. But once this is over, it's going to be the opposite. Everybody's going to want to be out. Like it's not like everybody is following the advice anyway, but I think people are going to want to express that freedom. And they're going to want to crowd those convention centers. I think
actually, like I'm expecting like as soon as I put tickets on sale for the shows afterward, I'm going to sell like 14, 15 a show. Like it's just really going to be
crazy. You keep dreaming big, Steve. I've got faith. The last thing,
you sons of bitches.
Negan of the state. I don't think that Negan becomes people don't know Negan is a character in The Walking Dead who created a following of violent people who for some period of time ruled the living.
I just assumed that it was just a new racial slur that Kyle had found.
So I think, though, that the guy that becomes this warlord in the apocalyptic state has more to do with leadership abilities than his arsenal. Really, more than one gun is almost wasted on you. So
basically, like, whoever hoards it becomes, like, the lackey. Yeah, the lackey for the person who...
I don't think a guy with 97 guns is more deadly than a charismatic guy with one.
I disagree with that very strongly. I think you just look at some places like Somalia and you see that I don't expect one man to carry 97 guns like one of those Indian goddesses or something with all the arms. I expect him to have 97 soldiers. I expect him to have 97 guys who are with him. And a lot of these guys I'm talking about already have the infrastructure in place for that, whether it's militia ties or whether it's large companies their own that deal with firearm manufacturing, and within those safe spaces of conservatism, they're all very like-minded already. Like the guys that I'm talking about, it's like, all right, boys, head up the mountain, and they're ready
hell,
to go.
they probably have various wives and kids that'll work for them.
But what
And
happens if Kyle supplies 97 soldiers? Apologize, and then I say, you know what though? I've got the gun now, and I kind of feel like I should follow Steve.
Well, we'll kill you.
Oh, so I guess if I was the only one, but I think that it takes somebody with leadership to keep everyone in line.
First of all, thank you so much, Woody, and I really appreciate your vouching for my leadership skills. But I'll just have to convince Kyle's buddies to follow me. You know, Kyle's friends, the people who would like me, probably.
Yes.
I've never
Kyle's friends,
understood
the ones who like Jewish comedians who are on the left. I think that's really.
We all loved Seinfeld, all right? He swung so many of us to your side. Seinfeld was big for the Jewish people.
He was our
right?
sleeper agent.
Mending
He's the
fences,
modern day
building
Moses.
bridges.
All right, that man has done more for the Jewish person in America than anybody. Forget Oscar Schindler. All right. What do you say? 100, 200?
Yeah.
Seinfeld has saved so many of you from hate crimes. I grew up in a place. Where there were no Jewish people at all. So I had no.
The South.
Yeah. And so I had no.
Oh, I just meant the
context.
entire South.
Plenty of Jewish people in Atlanta, but certainly where I'm from,
Yeah.
not very many at all. None, zero. And so the only impression that I had of Jewish people came from A, Seinfeld, and B, that sticker on that magnet on my grandmother's refrigerator that said, "My God is a Jewish carpenter." And I was like, okay, all right, they seem like good people.
What
That's all I
skills
needed.
do you have that would, like I was talking, so my buddy Chris Bowers, who's one of the co-hosts of the live stream, he has like a fuck ton of friends in Indiana, and like one of them has a big old house, and they've all, joked around for years, like, oh, if the apocalypse comes, we're going to Indiana and we're going to live out of there. And I was like, hey, bring me. And he was like, well, what can you do? And I was like, I could build shit. Like, I think that's the one skill I have.
Wait, are you literally a Jewish carpenter?
I am literally a Jewish carpenter.
Okay.
I'm not pro style, but like the wall behind me I made, like that. I can make stuff like that. The desk I'm sitting at, things like that.
That's one big
so
piece,
like,
isn't it? You're talking about screwing those signs up.
You bought that from Home Depot and just tipped it up against an existing wall, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
It's the. I don't mean I made the sign, and that's the thing that YouTube gave me back there. I mean the freaking the wood.
We're saying that's all one piece.
Staining,
That's
staining.
a big. That's land.
Oh yeah. It was one piece. But what I'm saying is that I did hire a guy from Home Depot to bring it, and that is a
The
valuable
Jewish
skill.
way.
It's wood textured wallpaper, but
So what are you asking? Like what skills that we have?
What skill?
Valuable?
Like I think that's the only one I have. Like what skill do you have? I mean, you know artillery. Like that is an important skill.
I grew up operating a lot of different kinds of heavy machinery. And my dad is kind of my dad doesn't like to pay people to do things. And I would say that I am an expert of nothing, but I am
so jack of all trades, master of none.
Yes, absolutely. So like I can do basic electrical work and basic carpentry and plumbing, and I've done additions onto homes and a little bit of everything. There's just lots of stuff like that. If there was anything to be done that didn't really require a serviceman to come out, then we did it ourselves all the time. So I don't know. I've chopped trees down and split wood, and lots of tractor operation and small engine repair and large engine repair. If it's internal combustion they're all internal combustion. If it's carbureted and not fuel injected, there's no computer in that vehicle, then I'm pretty confident there.
There will be a space for you in Indiana, Kyle. You'll be welcome into our compound.
I am. I know
you are his fifth choice.
And I think the thing that would make me most valuable is I know where the stuff is. I know where the cool stuff is and where the people are who have it, and they know me, and they won't shoot me on sight, hopefully. But I just know a lot of people in Georgia and in a lot of states, though I don't know if travel would be a good idea during an actual post-apocalyptic scenario that we're describing here. But I know a lot of people that have a lot of scary stuff and are like actually prepared for this sort of thing. Like I've got my cupboard full. I've got I got lots of beans and rice. We're killing my cow, by the way. She's getting turned into steaks.
That's happening. It's
Yeah.
time.
It's we're
Like
making
right
it time.
now?
Yeah, she's drip drying in the other room. No, she's getting slaughtered soon. That like this week, next week, soon. We did.
Well,
coronavirus
I had no
impact
idea.
your
I'd have gotten
timing?
you something.
Yeah, Dad and I were discussing it, and I was like, I've only got like 8-9 pounds of meat here, like frozen. Maybe we should slaughter that cow. And let's get a bunch of steaks and hamburger. And he sent me a link from some website called The Beef Boys, and I was like, oh no, Dad, what have you sent me? But it was actually some meat. It was, or maybe it was like Meaty Man or something. It was something like that. That could be like a double meaning. But it was some guys who were like showing the breakdown of a steer and how many steaks, how many pounds of hamburger, how much this, that, and the other that you get from one. And I was like, oh yeah, like tell you what, Dad, you kill the cow and slaughter it, and let's just split it. Let's just split this thing. I don't need all of that. And I'll go to Home Depot, get a deep freeze, fill that bitch up with hamburger meat. Did you see Ronda Rousey's video where she was showing how prepared she was?
No.
I'll pull it up. It's worth a watch. It's like a minute and 30 seconds. She's getting flamed for it.
What are your skills?
Mine, comparable to Kyle's. I can do small and large engine repair. I've done some woodworking. I don't know if I could build an addition by myself, but I volunteered to Habitat for Humanity a bunch of times to learn those skills, so I've got some.
Yeah.
I also can operate
And
machinery and tractors and forklifts and skid steers and shit like that. If that was,
And you can literally fly.
Yeah, I think that.
Like that's.
I mean, if you have a transportation problem solved by going 25 miles an hour on clear days, then I'm your guy.
Ho there!
Yeah.
Who leads this province? The Nightwing. And they just point up in the air and
Yes. Noisy, easy shot.
I am the Nightwing now. Shit, we never thought about shooting him.
Get me with a slingshot and break the prop. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
Let me like get it so that it's like comfortable on my screen.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I don't think he can. Instagram needs a forward, backwards, pause. Anyway, ready, set, play.
So everybody's doing a bunch of coronavirus panic buys at the grocery store, and I was asking Trav, like, what do we need? You know, what do we need to stock up on? And it's like, do we need meat? No. Don't think we need any meat. Do we need veggies? Oh, no. No, we don't need any veggies. What about fruit? Are we good on fruit?
Bitch got an orchard.
No, I think we're good on fruit. Do we need water?
God damn.
I don't think we need any
Jeez.
water. What about eggs? Nah. I don't think we need any eggs. Are you sure we have enough meat? Yeah.
Better have
Yeah, I
electricity.
think we got enough meat.
Oh, wait,
Chicken's
mine's
in
cut
the
off.
calculator.
Mine cut
Doing a
off.
bunch of
Mine ended after the meat thing.
Yeah,
I think
so. The end of the thing, you want to click the arrow that goes to the right, and it goes again. It's the second part of the video. The first time I watched
there's
it,
one
one
more.
big-
Oh wow.
Yeah. She ain't done yet.
Oh, all right, let's watch it. I'm
Yeah.
curious. Ready?
I'm-
All right, Steve, you ready?
Yeah.
Ready, set, play.
What about power? Are we going to be able to store all this meat if the power goes out? Oh,
Tesla generators.
no, we're good on power.
Solar, I guess.
All joking aside,
Yeah.
you know, me and Trav love to preach a message of sustainability here at Browsy Acres, not just because of it being good
Yeah,
for
that-
the
that's all over
environment, and
prepping.
good for our health, and good for our
She got
finances,
some shit
but it's also good to
for
be
saying
prepared.
that.
And
You know, of course, like
you're
whenever you
prepared,
show
there's no need
anything
to
like
panic.
that, people are like, give it all to us.
No, I don't.
Well, there's.
That-
I don't think that's why she's getting shit for it. I think she's getting shit for it a couple reasons. A, the condescendingness of like, and like, look, paupers, we're so prepared in a way that no one who doesn't have a fucking fortune could be prepared. Like the Tesla generators, fuck you. Like that kind
That's
of
the
thing.
part that's a little above most people's reach.
When-
Everything else you could do.
I really want to go.
But
When
the
she
space,
said that it was
the-
good for her finances, I'm like, show me the spreadsheet. Show me how, how you're saving money by buying your own farm and raising your own eggs. I'll tell you, the fish I've caught are the most expensive fish I've ever eaten by far. Some of them hundreds of dollars a pound. I haven't saved much money by doing the sorts of things that she does. It's a hobby.
But that's probably a non-profit ranch she's got there. They probably bring some special needs kids out a couple times a year, ride those ponies around. She's not paying taxes on any of that.
But that's my point. Like the idea that like she has a fucking orchard. She has, and look, I don't begrudge her any of this.
Oh, no.
I'm just saying that like if she says she earned it by getting hit in the face, she earned it. But like or tackled or whatever it is. But my point is that like she is presenting in a way of like everybody should do this, and that's such an out of touch thing to say when like there are people who can barely afford the fruit on one of those trees, let alone the whole fucking orchard.
Well, okay, if we're talking about the absolute paupers of the world who can't afford an orange, then fair enough. But
there's more than one orange on a tree, Kyle. Just
like I said, more than one. You know how much? I don't know how much an orange costs. Who eats oranges anyway? Who's like buying oranges?
It's like that Arrested Development scene where they didn't know how much a banana cost.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would guess 70 cents. I don't fucking.
I literally don't know how much a banana costs. I don't do my own shopping.
I'm allergic to them for one thing. But you could get most of that done for what less than land in cheap areas is $4,000 an acre.
But not
the meat is no problem at all. That's hunting. They killed that. That's deer meat. That's elk meat.
But most people can't live in a part of the country that has that much space and still work a job.
Hey,
like there's
right? We're
now that we'll teleconference, but like just the idea that like she has that stuff because she has a ton of money.
Sure.
Like not just because it's her hobby. She has the money.
She didn't have any of those things 4 years ago. And in her retirement, that became a passion of hers. That's what I'm getting from this. That she's like, you know what? I think homesteading is fun. Let's do. And this is what homesteading looks like with a nearly limitless supply of money.
Yeah, she's still making crazy money with the WWE.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think she has to work quite as hard as she did when she was a competitive athlete.
Of course not.
Yeah,
she doesn't have to work at all.
If she had put that out there and had just been like, hey, I'm a prepper. I've been prepping for years. This is what we have here. Like, I think that would have been a lot different. They'd be like, do we have enough meat, honey? I don't know.
Oh yeah,
we should check our meat farm.
It was condescending as fuck. But she's never been a likable person.
No,
like her thing has always been that. Like I don't even go back to her Howard Stern interview. She's always been a real cunt.
She's always been a cunt, undoubtedly. But people liked her and didn't know she was a cunt. Like all they knew was she was a winner and they liked her. And then once they found out she was a cunt, things changed. Everyone started rooting against her.
But that's fine as long as you keep winning. I mean, there are plenty of guys out there. It's like, oh yeah, Colby Covington does not want you to like him. I can't remember who it was, but there's one of these guys who plays the bad guy, in press conferences. And his opponent goes, "Nobody likes you," and he's like, "Yeah, that's the point, dumbass."
Did Chael Sonnen say that?
I don't recall who it was.
Yeah,
I doubt it was Chael, but Chael's always preaching, that hey, look, you're coming out wrong on this. He's the good guy. There's only space for one other kind of guy here. You got to be the other guy's foil.
When he sells these things, it's interesting. I feel like he's an expert in selling fights. And he says half of the fighters need to be good guys, half of the fighters need to be bad guys, but 90% want to be good guys. So there are some job opportunities here if you're willing to be an asshole. Colby Covington.
Well, that's got to be tough. I always wonder, is there like one of these guys who plays a heel who just wants to be liked, and like on one hand he's like, well, I'm making a couple mil on this and this is working well, but then he just goes home and cries.
Yeah, Andre the Giant was like that.
Nobody likes me.
Was he?
In professional wrestling, yeah. He often got put in the position of being the bad guy or the monster, and it would really hurt him that, he'd get he wasn't one of those guys who fed off of the booze like Hulk Hogan loved that shit. He didn't carry it away. He just wanted you loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Chael talked shit and bad guyed his way into some of the most prestigious fights and prestigious positions in his sport. And I mean, he got into so many fights that he shouldn't have been in. Like there was no reason for him to be fighting John Jones that night.
I'll tell you how he got that fight. Like, okay, so he's answered this question before, and I love his answer. They say, you talked your way into that fight. Your mouth got you this fight, not your fighting skills. And he said, yeah, my mouth got me this fight. You know what it said? Yes. Because here's what happened. He was fighting, I think it was Dan Henderson. And Dan Henderson had to pull out with like 2 weeks' notice. Chael Sonnen raises his hand and says, I'll fight him. Maybe it was less, like 3 days' notice. He's like, I will drive over there tonight. I can make weight before morning, and I will fight John Jones and save this show. John Jones pulled out. John Jones said, no, I'm not fighting Chael on 3 days' notice. Until they did fight, Chael was the champion. Once they fought, that got reversed. But Chael walked around saying, he forfeited. This guy's scared of me. He doesn't want any part of the guy with the biggest arms and the guy with the greatest charms. Right? Yeah. Chael Sonnen went, and he just went crazy with it. Chael Sonnen got that fight because he was willing to save a show. And a lot of people, that I call him Lolita Machado, which is close. He turned down that fight. They gave him an opportunity. He's like, no. If I get a title shot, I want a full 8-week camp. I want to be the best me.
That whole thing with Anderson Silva, like he would talk about the people of Brazil.
Yeah.
In terrible ways about how shitty, and Conor McGregor was good at that too. When he said that shit to Jose Aldo, he said, if this was a different time, I'd ride into your favela on horseback and I'd kill anything that wasn't fit to work. But it's a new time, so I'm just going to come down to Rio and whoop your ass. It's just like, oh my God.
That was a good line.
There's some colonialism mixed in here. He's taking it back to like the 1700s or something.
I love the idea that he was like, if it was a different time, I could do something horribly racist and ignorant, but it's not. So I'm just going to talk about how I want to.
Yeah, exactly. He said that he was saying the most offensive things he could come up with, you know, like he wanted to upset this man. And it worked. It absolutely worked.
It did. And they did it to Khabib, and Khabib beat the fuck out of him. It was
it's such a weird thing.
Khabib beat the hell out of him, and he said, talk now, keep talking. What do you have to say? And Conor in the fight was like, it's just jokes, back off. Yeah, he got fucking cucked in that fight. It was glorious. That's exactly how it went down.
As an MMA fan, I'm just surprised that you feel this way about Conor McGregor, who's responsible for the current success of the sport, and the reason we get so many
the sport
cards.
Before Conor was in the UFC.
The sport wasn't as good.
I don't know very much. I know very much about UFC, but did I ever tell you guys a story about when I was accidentally in Vegas in the same hotel as a Conor McGregor fight?
No.
And and he won, and all these people were like singing Irish songs drunk at me, thinking I was Irish also, and I am very much not. And then they would like be mad at me that I wasn't singing along, and I like didn't know what to do. And I was like, we have to get the fuck out of this hotel immediately. I'm gonna get my ass kicked.
I've either got to learn Gaelic very quickly, or we got to run.
Yeah. Like, please, someone give me something green. Give me something green. Come on.
Yeah, I think that Khabib doesn't understand selling a fight, and he doesn't sell fights well. And Conor McGregor is the best that there's ever been at selling fights. So at that point, it was like, don't you understand? Like,
maybe the best. Khabib doesn't value money. That's the difference. Khabib doesn't prioritize.
Yeah, that's the guy I want working for me.
Well, I hear you, but to me, it has its own kind of charm. It makes me want to pay him anyway. But yeah, Khabib, he's going to retire before he's run out of opponents. He's going to retire when he could have made more money. He's not. If he was interested in money, he'd be looking for a Conor rematch. Instead, he says,
"Is he just like loaded or?"
No, he's Muslim. He lives with his dad. I guess in Dagestani culture, the youngest child lives with their father. And in spite of the fact that this guy's rich and famous and one of the toughest fighters to have ever lived, he still fears his father and lives under his roof because that's where he's from.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's got terrorist ties as well. He's a scary guy.
Jesus.
That's not true, though.
I heard it was.
Conor McGregor did say it, so I heard it too.
He also mentioned the thread count on Khabib's wife, which was one of the best lines ever because she wears the full get up.
The best line was, "Try talking now," while he was punching him in the face and holding him down, and it was delivered by Khabib.
I disagree.
That is
I
a pretty.
disagree.
That is a pretty.
That one was not very witty. And
It's the delivery.
I don't know.
Kyle.
That's like an action hero line.
Yeah.
That's like
so we're all making more money because I talk shit. Why are you so angry?
I did like Cowboy said that, and a couple other people said that. There were like reporters who were like, I'm making double what I normally make in this McGregor versus Cowboy fight. And so thanks, Conor. I appreciate that. And he really, it seemed to warm his heart. Like he's like, I like that someone recognizes that we're all getting paid because of the work I put in.
All the ships rise with the Conor tide. It's just a fact of life.
That is true.
He's just like, my fictional racism has fed your children.
Oh, his
So you
racism
guys
is
need to
real.
support
I
it.
believe that part.
Okay,
I'm just
fair.
not so sure if he has. I heard something about some terrorist warlord or something like that over in the Daggies that he had some sort of ties where there's some money getting funneled to.
They were probably freedom fighters, Kyle.
Freedom fighters like the brave Mujahideen.
Yes.
I always reference this, but maybe Steve doesn't know. You're familiar with the Rambo series of movies. Well, in Rambo 3, he goes to Afghanistan and he fights with the Afghanistanis, as I call them, and against the Russians. That was the premise of the third film. And at the end of the film, at least on the old VHSs, there's a scroll, and it reads, thank you to the gallant men of the Mujahideen.
Oh my God.
Then it literally like you get a DVD of that shit now, and the brave people of Afghanistan or something like that. I don't know what it says now, but it doesn't mention the gallant Mujahideen.
Thank you to the gallant men of the Mujahideen. We worked with a young up-and-coming leader named Osama. He's really tall guy, got some interesting ideas, and he really advised the movie pretty well.
Lanky but strong.
Lanky but strong. Wiry. He'll just wrap you up. He's John Jones type build. Yeah. I wonder what he looked like under that get up. I wonder what he actually looked like in his prime. Osama.
I never thought about it, but now I do too. I wonder.
I assumed it was just 4 kids in a trench coat. Like I didn't.
He lived a rugged life. I bet he was wiry and strong.
Did he?
Yeah, he lived in those fucking caves.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't think he was the guy moving rocks though, making pillows out of rocks or whatever the fuck you do.
Wildly wealthy, but lived as a
wasn't he
fighter.
Saudi, like royalty or something?
They're all royalty over there.
Okay.
That's like
did he come from Saudi money?
I believe
think he did. Yeah. So that counters the ruggedness of what his individual experience might have been.
You never know because of their culture, right? Like you could say that about Khabib at this point, right? I bet Khabib's son isn't going to live some kind of privileged life. It's going to be rough. I would hate to be his son. Like, come on, Dad. Why do I have to ride a goat to school?
Yeah, I just want to watch YouTube on my iPad. That's not the life that kid's getting.
Warren Buffett does the same thing with his kids. Very similar.
Wonder what the truth is with that, right? So Warren Buffett, if people don't know Warren Buffett's one of the wealthiest people in the world, you probably know him. And he said that he is not going to let his kids inherit his billions. What are his kids going to inherit, right? But what's Buffett worth? Is it $100 billion? I don't even know. Let's pretend it's that. He has some, that's too much probably, but whatever.
Buffett like laughs at Bloomberg. Like that's,
I think you're right.
I feel like that's the kind of money.
I think he passed Bill Gates for, period. Not currently.
73 billion.
Yeah.
73 billion, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
40 billion, 73 billion are both amounts of money that I don't know what to do with. So you can still make your kids incredibly rich, right? If you just gave each of them 100 million, to keep them grounded, is he doing that? Or are they literally just getting like the shitty car he drives?
Did you ever see the movie Brewster's Millions?
Yes.
So for anyone who hasn't seen it, the basic premise of it is that this guy, if he can spend, I think it's like $3 million or something over the course of a month without having anything to show for it, he gets to inherit like 30 million. And that movie now, but with the same amounts, what would be
by
like
10?
all they would have to do? What?
Multiply it all by 10-ish, maybe?
No. But I mean, even what if it was like the same amounts? Like all they would have to do is just get like a shitty data plan on a cell phone and just leave it on for the whole month. And then like, boom.
At the end of it, he spent $3 million.
Yeah, they're good.
He ran
all
for
they need to
political
do.
office. If you didn't see the movie, his big like ace in the hole to spend it all and get nothing was to run a bad political campaign. I can't believe there weren't more jokes about that during Bloomberg's run.
It's definitely something I thought of. The idea of the none of the above was it was his slogan.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was amazing that per vote that I think was that the most ever
7.2
spent per
million
vote?
today.
Oh, so it's okay, 7.2 million. What would you spend it on to I mean, cuz now like you could just rent a private jet, fly around the world once and be done with it, right? Like what?
For 3 million it would be easy to spend now. I feel like I could
Yeah. But even what he said 7 million, fuck it, make it 10 million. Like I feel like there's more stuff now and there's more perishable stuff. There's more experience type stuff cuz like that's the type of thing where like I think one of the things he did was he threw a big lavish party and had like celebrities come. I mean, you'd spend half of that on like the cast of Jersey Shore.
Yeah,
Like
right?
the amount that influencers charge for personal appearance now, like that would be really easy to blow through that money.
You could easily spend $10 million to get Miley Cyrus to perform at my shitty Christmas party. And boom,
Yeah.
it's gone.
I bet it's cheaper than that. I bet you get Miley for $1 million.
I bet
because
you're
part
right,
of it,
but
I think
you
part
could
of it
spend
was that
10.
you couldn't. I think part of it was that you couldn't overspend, like you couldn't just give it away.
She might suck your dick for 10.
And so, like, yeah, I guess there are other boxes you could check.
I'm turning
Yeah.
the corner on Miley Cyrus being
She's-
hot. I used to
she's-
think she was pretty, but not like Hollywood hot. How old is she now?
I would say 23, 25.
Oh, she's younger than I thought then. I get more impressed by hot older people, right? Like, okay, let's say there's a 4-year gap here. There are a lot of hot 18-year-old girls and a lot of hot 22-year-old guys, right? That is a stage in your life when a lot of people are hot. Cool. Bump that up 10
one
years.
thing.
27.
27.
I want to hear the rest of it, but before we do, I just want to make sure that someone out there has clipped up Woody saying that there are a lot of hot 22-year-old guys. Sorry, continue.
All right. So bump 10 years onto those numbers, right? Make it a 28-year-old girl and a 32-year-old guy, or maybe make it 15 years, which becomes incalculable. If you're still hot at those ages, now I'm impressed, right? Be a hot 33-year-old girl. You have accomplished something. Now you're at a stage where this is rare.
So so Woody, obviously you're not swiping, you're married. Kyle, what's your age range when you're on dating apps?
18 and 19. He's open.
It's like, well, it's 18 on one side.
We run the gamut. All right. There's no reason.
Where's it
to
cut
do
off?
It doesn't cut off.
You throw in 60 plus?
Yeah, let's go. Let's see what you
If
got.
Sandra Bullock
I mean,
wants in, she's in.
Oh,
I mean, you
fuck yeah.
better hurry because
To
there
me
aren't going to be a
more?
lot of them left.
Demi Moore.
But
I'll break that hip in two.
No, but there is something for like, because originally when I started like on the dating apps, I think I was like 36, and so I was swiping up to 40, and then I realized that like if you up that a little bit, like yeah, there aren't as many attractive people every year you add on. Seems to be a smaller percentage, but those that are still attractive at that age, holy fuck, they're
Yeah,
gorgeous.
I hooked up with like a 45-year-old when I was like 25. Super hot.
Yeah.
I was very happy with my experience. Crazy fake titties. It's great. Good times.
Sounds
Tampa.
like a good time.
Tampa. Woo! Love Tampa.
But would
Tampa,
you,
if you're
but
still
would
out
you-
there, ring.
But 45, but you're saying you'd go. What's the oldest woman you've ever hooked up with?
I think that was it. I think at 45. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I got you there. I routinely hook up with a 47-year-old.
Yeah.
All right then.
Yeah, twice a year. Birthday, New Year's.
Birthday and Christmas.
You've
but
had your
yeah.
fill. Yeah, I don't see any issue with going as low as whatever the law allows. You know,
Do you change that per state? Like if you're traveling to South Carolina, do you? Like,
no,
you're just
because I feel like
well,
that could
here
get-
it's different.
I feel like in the whole like texting back and forth process, if they're under 18, you're gonna end up committing some sort of crime accidentally.
Gets
by what something
complicated.
Yeah, it gets complicated about what we can even say to each other. I feel like, can I even talk about sex with a 17-year-old? I don't want to find out. Like
there's also
it's
also
like
a stage of
when we
life
see
thing.
Wings of Redemption playing video games with these underage girls, and it's like, why are you even put yourself in that position where there's dirty talk between you and a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old? Like,
One thing I very much appreciate is that there is like a trend among high school people on Instagram to put their graduation year, and I very much appreciate that. Like the
that
idea
puts
that
things in
like
perspective, huh?
no, just the idea of like, oh, this, you know, because you see a small picture and you're like, is this person attractive? And you open it up and you're like, nope, swipe that, no, move on, absolutely move on. Like I think it's nice that no one's pretending to be older.
I follow. I didn't follow it first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't follow. No, I'm saying it's nice that people are like IDing themselves,
Right,
so that like
right.
no one gets into problems.
Right, because when you said, is she attractive, I think my head went the wrong way. You're saying, if she's 16, you might have mistakenly thought she was hot. But now that you see her graduation year, you know that she's not hot.
Right. There are people who look older. There are people who look older in real life than they are. There are people who look younger in real life than they are. But it's also a stage of life thing. Like I was at I was performing at this post-prom show when I was 23. And so I'm only 5 years older than these kids. And one of the girls starts talking to me, and she's like, she does this whole thing about being like, oh, these guys in high school, they're so immature, but we're way more mature. You know, we're 18, we're way more mature. And I'm like, I don't want, even though I was desperate for attention at that point in my life, but I don't ever want anyone to have the story of like, oh, Steve Hofstetter performed at my post-prom and I hooked up with him at my post-prom. Even though that person now is 35 years old. Like it's still, I did not want that to be out there in the world.
Yeah, I don't care. I'll fuck you at your prom. I'll fuck you at the fucking what do they call it? When they have the homecoming dance. Whatever.
You're like, I'll fuck you at your junior prom, provided you got left back. Just as long as
it's better if you did. I mean, I know you're dumb enough to do this.
Yeah. I'll pick you up from your PSATs, just as long as it's the fourth time you've taken them.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me do an advertisement here. Boys, it looks like Taylor's not going to make it back. We talked about on PKN that he had a family emergency type situation going on. We're not going to go into it too much, but that's presented itself some more. So he has an emergency and he has to go take care of that.
We'll hang up on him and hopefully get a new background during the show.
Let me tell you about Sqaurespace. This episode of PK is brought to you by our good friends over at Sqaurespace. From personal blogs and e-commerce destinations to marketing tools and analytics that'll help your business succeed, Sqaurespace is the all-in-one platform where you can establish and build a beautiful online presence to run your business with ease. If you don't have a domain yet, that's no problem, because in addition to configuring third-party domains, customers can also purchase domains directly through Sqaurespace. Over 200 TLDs are currently available for purchase, and each domain with Sqaurespace comes with a beautiful parking page and free WHOIS privacy. There's nothing to install, patch, or upgrade ever. You won't need any plugins to get going, and you can hit the ground running with your new website by utilizing Squarespace's award-winning templates. Everyone needs their own corner of the internet, and with that, you'll want to flesh out your online community. Now you can do that with these, since Squarespace sites are fully integrated with commenting systems that support fully threaded comments, replies, and likes. Squarespace is trusted by millions of people and some of the most respected brands in the world. They're used by a wide range of creatives and people, including musicians, designers, artists, restaurants, and more. In addition to some of the largest e-commerce sites you'll find conducting business anywhere on the internet today. So don't wait. So don't wait any longer. Get started today. Head on over to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready for launch, go to squarespace.com/PKA and you'll save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. That's squarespace.com/PKA. Create your Squarespace website today and share them with us on social media so we can feature them in a future episode of the show. Yeah, good stuff.
Super good. You need a website? That's how you do it. And get on the show. That's a lot of value.
I know Chiz was very ill earlier. I believe he was vomiting quite a bit. So is it maybe possible just to like put a black thing over Taylor's screen and mute him? I see you've already muted him.
Okay. I'm working on that.
Yeah, no worries. we don't want to hang up on him because it'll really throw all of our cameras out of whack and it'll look funny. And like I said, Chiz is pretty sick right now himself. He's been vomiting all day, not feeling very well, and he usually cooks us up a background and what have you.
Yeah, coughing a lot. I think he has a fever. Any other symptoms of that? Of something that might be coming around?
Yeah, he said he had the sniffles. Yeah, they said sniffles. Yeah. It's a real problem. He still went to that Lego convention though.
Yeah.
That'd be the worst place to go. Just you and 100 kids. Everybody's touching the blocks. Oh, mine won't go in. I'll lick it. Oh, okay. Yeah, that. You're right.
Woody, did you?
Please.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I won't make it 3 for 3.
Okay. I was just curious, Woody. You're in North Carolina?
Yes.
What are your quarantine laws out there now? Like, are things shut down?
So the schools have shut down. Trying to figure out this black box. The schools have shut down, and this is capabilities. There's some gatherings that one of the counties shut down, which is pretty interesting. Like it changed the way that they handled it. People can't go in and out of that county. I don't know. I've been going above and beyond by not doing anything.
Yeah, I started kind of, self-quarantining with the exception of, grocery store runs till I had enough stuff. Probably 5-6 days ago. But what was crazy was there were a couple comedy clubs still open and there were comedians still performing. Like there's I shared a set from Mike Baldwin where he was still on the road at I think it was at Goonies in Rochester, Minnesota. And he opened up his set by just going, "Hey, what's up, you brave idiots?" Just because, like, he's still making a living, but why are you guys here? Like, why did anyone pay to come here?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to. I guess it's tough in that position. I'm in Atlanta, North Carolina. I was looking at a map that shows confirmed cases per million residents. I think that's pretty telling. North Carolina is doing quite well. So is Missouri. Georgia is probably the 5th worst in the country.
Oof.
I think I saw the same map.
Yeah. And so I know the governor of Georgia has declared a state of emergency, but we haven't closed the schools. A lot of restaurants are I think they're closing down mostly because of the lack of business. They're I know people in the service industry out here, and they can't get shifts right now, or maybe 2 a week, which is nothing if you're a waitress or a bartender. So it's definitely a big effect. Not everybody's a dummy. I spoke to my dad though, and he's talking to me as he drives into town to get some gasoline. And he's like, and we're talking about the virus, and he's like, well, these people don't seem to mind. The Waffle House parking lot is full, and Subway, 6 cars at Subway. And I'm like, these are the worst kinds of places. Like everybody's in a line, or you've always been pretty likely to get a virus at Waffle House.
Yeah.
So this it's
how
only
I build
worse.
my immune system.
That or
yeah, my immune system is scattered, smothered, and covered.
It's how I keep my hand-to-hand fighting skills on point. You go in there, you're gonna get in a tussle. Waffle House is a danger zone. It's a weird mixture of the lowest rungs of society, but goddamn if those waffles aren't good. I love a good hash brown too. Mm-hmm.
The weird thing that I saw when I went to the grocery store was that all the cans were gone, but all the can openers were still there. And I was like, I think some of these people don't have a good can opener. Like there's somebody who's prepping that doesn't have that.
Yeah, I stocked up on dry goods, canned goods, lots of frozen food, just to really cut down on having to go out or do anything that involves me coming into contact with another person, because there's such a huge period of time between when you are contagious and yet still asymptomatic that it's as much for their benefit as it is for mine. Maybe I've got it already. Maybe like an Ingalls bag that came in 2 weeks ago gave me the virus and I've had it for 2 weeks. I shouldn't be going places. And by the way, I read like this is not pseudoscience, so like, and not a joke. Regular soap will kill this thing from your hands. Something about the lipids in the soap break down some sort of fat cellular barrier that's in the virus or something like that, and it'll kill it. All right, you don't need some sort of fancy smancy soap, some whatever. Good hand soap will do it. A bar of soap will take the stuff off your hands.
Did you see?
I actually.
I was going to talk
Oh,
about.
I was just going to say that. I was going to say I stopped coughing on buffets just because it's.
Oh, how kind of you!
Just
I've seen so many videos of motherfuckers doing that kind of stuff, licking.
I know.
There's this
Did
guy.
you see the guy who took the soup?
What did he do to the soup?
There was a guy who I don't know if it was like at a Whole Foods or something, like at the Whole Foods hot bar or whatever. But there was a guy who drank from a late soup ladle and put it back in the thing. And I was like, "What animal are you?" And this is before the virus, but that doesn't matter. There's other shit out there.
I saw a guy. Everybody on the subway is wearing masks. He pulls his down and like rubs his finger in his mouth, and then rubs it up and down the little thing you hold on to. Then puts the mask back up, and this person is like recording him while he does it. And it's like either he's a bug chaser, he wants to get it, or he's trying to spread it. Like those
if this
people
guy is
deserve to
already
die.
recording, that means he probably did it once before the camera
Exactly.
was on.
Exactly. Anyone who is
Like-
intentionally trying to spread this virus, death penalty, in my opinion.
There's a
Like
news
that-
story about that. So, in Italy, a surgeon, anesthesiologist, and nurse have risked being infected by a man. That man tested positive for corona, and he hid his symptoms because he had rhinoplasty, which is a nose job, and he didn't want that to be postponed. And now he risks 12 years in prison for an aggravated epidemic. So,
Good.
I think so.
Yeah,
I don't know. 12 years.
I think it should be death.
Death penalty.
Yeah, absolutely. It's involuntary manslaughter if somebody dies. It seems like it's worse than voluntary manslaughter. It's like it's negligent homicide.
It's
negligent
like negligent
No, it's even
serial
worse.
homicide, right? Like,
Yeah. I'm very serious about this. Look, I get this isn't the fucking. I don't know what a more deadly virus is. The Black Plague we handle with penicillin now, But I get that it's not running through the streets. Nobody dies from AIDS anymore. There's nobody with enough money to pay for the drugs anyway.
or not American with free drugs.
Or not American, Oh no, what has happened to my country? We are out of virgins to eat. So
Oh my God.
but I think anybody who's out there like actively spreading this shit, like they're doing that number, putting their fingers. I don't want to actually put my finger in my mouth. That's how afraid I am of this right now. like I don't want to get it. Like anybody's doing that number and like spreading it or coughing
I was
on
about to
people.
do the pop thing, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get corona in 4 weeks, and they're going to make a montage with the goddamn, what's the show you watch?
This entire
No,
time that I've been
Curb
leaning
Enthusiasm.
over that I've been leaning over like this entire time. Like, stop touching your face. But the crazy part is also people are so stupid about it. Like Joe Coy put up a video, and in the video it was like, hey, while I'm stuck here, I went through my old videos. Here's a great one from 2017. And it was like a conversation with him and another guy. And like, he's like, what? You shook his hand? Oh my God, you're touching your face. And it was like, it says 2017. How?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. They don't
We
get
all
it.
did that.
Yeah.
There's
And
a-
we're all going to do it again. All right.
And we still do it.
The
It's
elbow bump
impossible
is
to
not
not touch your
becoming a
face.
greeting. And this.
Although I am all for replacing the handshake with the fist bump. All for
I
it.
like the
I think
handshake.
the
I think
handshake.
no. I
I
like
hate the
feel-
handshake. The handshake, you do not know how strong they're coming in. And I mean like the people who are just like, I will assert my dominance, or the people who are just like,
Yeah.
here's my hand, do what you want with it. Like
If
either
you
one of
hand-
those things.
I would
sucks.
much rather you like try to alpha me and squeeze hard
Yes,
because I'm going to
agreed.
squeeze back quickly enough that you're not going to like fold my hand up. But you hand me
But
that
that dead
that
fish?
fucking effeminate dead fish like you're a princess. Like what? Next time somebody does that to me and there's not a virus, I'm gonna take it from. I'm gonna go.
Dude, I dead fished a guy, and it wasn't my fault.
Nice to meet you, princess.
I came in for a handshake. This wasn't too long ago. And he grabbed like the beginning of my fingers. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, look, I'm not a fancy handshaker, but I can't properly return it
It's
unless
so
we go
easy.
thumb to thumb.
You get in there, you get in that gap.
Right?
What's going on?
If
does
you
that
just
happen?
grab the
That's
tip
my
of my
point.
fingers, then I don't have an opportunity to do this properly.
I hate that. Poor
How many
handshakers.
times have you ever? I have missed handshakes so many times in my life where one person, just goes up a little high, in a little quickly, whatever it is, and you get that awkward like part of the hand thing.
Really?
I don't
would
know
think
if I've
that-
ever missed a fist bump.
that legendary Jewish hand-eye coordination. I would think.
I don't know if I've. Oh God, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I don't.
I sold cars
I
for a
don't
long
think
time.
I've ever
and
missed one.
I sold cars for a long time. We took a class on handshaking one
Did
time,
you?
right? Like there's a firmness that you're going for, and there's a middle ground. But I'll tell you what, when I feel those pussy handshakes, I think less of you. I'm like that guy has some kind of a social thing. Like he doesn't do a lot of handshaking
On
Like,
both
he-
sides. The
Yeah,
pussy handshake is a problem, and the thing that Trump used to do, where he tried to like pull the other
I've never
world leader
seen that
off
in the
balance.
wild. He's the only one I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That is herky jerky.
My barber, when I was a teenager, used to do that. He'd crush my hand. They were curiously strong hands, and he'd either crush
Well, he
my
works
hand
them
or
all
he'd
day.
hold it
Just
too long. Maybe
snipping.
that's it. And he just like assert his dominance over my like 16-year-old can't wait for puberty ass. Every time I got my
Gonna give
haircut
Woody
there.
flashbacks. You okay?
I don't know why I kept going to him. I really should have I should have, the second he like overshook my hand and smushed it, and he'd smile at me knowing he was doing it. It wasn't an accident. I should have just been
Yeah.
like, you're fired, and go somewhere else.
But you have some of those people like you ever sometimes like in an airport you hear those people who are just like they're on their phone speaking more loud than they need to, just yelling businessman terms, just synergies, mergers, just I am businessman, I say businessman thing, like that kind of stuff. Like those guys with their fucking over the top handshake bullshit, like because they think that it makes them a better salesman or insurance, but whatever the fuck they are. Like the fist bump, it's so easy. It's
I like the
fist bump.
fist bump.
I don't know
handshake,
anything about
tater
you.
tot instead of French fries.
I
I've
haven't
got
learned
ideas.
I haven't learned anything about you if I bump your fist, other than the size of your fist compared to mine.
I like keeping things. I like playing close to the vest.
Yeah. I don't think I want to tell you anything
What
about
if somebody offered you the? What if you like? Ah! like you
No.
If you just
punch the
you just flash back, you just like recoil and just
pow.
Yeah, right. You
punch your
slip it
hand
and punch the
super hard.
fist.
look. There are gonna be accidents, Kyle. I never said this was a perfect system. I'm just
I saw
saying.
on the I am very badass subreddit, which is basically people like being fake tough guys. This
yeah,
guy
I
was
love
like, don't you come at me trying to fist bump, pussy. I see a fist coming at me, I react. I have training. I'm law enforcement. I'm taking you down. And I'm just like,
Oh my god.
we'll line you up to get shot with all the people licking the ice cream at Publix, dude. We don't want you here anymore. I've seen so many cops this week, by the way, planting drugs on suspects. Like 3
You've seen 3 cops
In
spray
video.
on
crack
video, on
suspects?
video planting.
Oh, on
like,
video.
one-
Okay.
yeah,
I was like,
marijuana
what
and
is
crack
your
cocaine.
neighborhood?
Yeah. Oh, my.
I was
yeah.
like, you're just looking at.
Welcome
you're just
to
rear
Atlanta.
windowing this shit.
Welcome
Yeah.
to Atlanta, where the players play.
By the way, I would also say I am so happy that I do not live in an apartment with a balcony facing a lot of other balconies right now, because like people are sharing those. Like you've seen those videos where like everyone
Oh,
in
yeah.
Italy is like playing the anthem and all this shit. And I was like, no, leave me the fuck alone. Like my neighbor started learning piano this week.
oh
And I'm just
no,
like, really? You're gonna start playing like, and look, if you're home and playing it because that's your, and look, we all have ways we need to pass the time. It's a very stressful thing. I get it, but don't fucking learn an instrument when you know all of your neighbors are home. Like that's bullshit. Like I think forcing people to. I'm glad I'm a little isolated. I can hear a neighbor tinkling on a piano, and that's already enough for me.
I
don't wanna- I
I'm
don't wanna
looking
be a
at it through
part of
that
that
lens,
courtyard
but I'm
shit.
seeing the logic in it now. Yeah, I see them playing tennis on the balcony, having a great time, wishing I was there, but 4 minutes of that is enough.
yeah, you'd
A
want to
week.
visit.
Yeah, exactly.
that apartment. You'd want to visit.
You're
that
like, wouldn't that
apartment.
be fun for like a break?
Yeah.
You know, and then the guy's just like, "Hey, I'm still bored here. My my Wi-Fi's down. So
Yeah.
can you want to come back out with the tennis ball?
I
Oh,
have
look, the
pretty
ball
good
fell.
neighbors.
Someone go get it. You gonna go get it? Like,
I have pretty good neighbors for that. One of the guys like clearly works nights or something, and so he sleeps all day, works all night. Never see him. I see his car come in. If I'm up at like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., I see him return home or something like that. And that's it. I don't know if he's black or white. No idea. Then there's some people.
So
that
you don't even know if you like him.
I'm not sure. But his sleep schedule is mighty white, so I'm okay with it.
Jesus.
My neighbor, kind of back behind, they play basketball over there. Thump, 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 and I can hear it occasionally. That's a little annoying. And there's some son of a bitch that lives like within 8 miles of me, I guess, and has the loudest fucking car known to man. I used to drive, I used to drag race a little bit, and in my car just with straight headers. It's just, there's no exhaust. It's about performance, and the thing is incredibly loud. That's what he's driving, I guess, in the neighborhood. Like I hear him start his vehicle, leave his yard, and I've timed it. I can hear him for almost 2.5 minutes from the time he leaves his home. That's got to be at least 1.5 miles that I can.
I mean,
hear
that
him.
guy is just driving his car to the drag racing track, trying to make a living.
I used to have a neighbor with
6 a.m.
with a motorcycle.
6 a.m. He goes to work in that shit.
A motorcycle that was loud, like you describe.
Yeah,
and it would be a lot because he would warm it up outside, right? He'd like push it out of the garage or something, start it, and then I don't know. It took him a while to get dressed or something, and through that whole like 4 or 7 minute process, it's just bah, 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 super loud.
Wow.
I had a neighbor in New York.
I really hate that. That's another group of people. Line them up against the wall and shoot them. The people who think that loud exhaust is like flexing or something like that. Like
no one's impressed.
We don't need those people in the world with us. They gotta go.
I had a neighbor in New York where I swear, look, I understand that sometimes you have kids, you cannot control the fact that your kid is a screamer and like the kid's just shrieking. But like, I swear they must have tied this kid to the front door because it sounded like it was in my apartment. Like, and look, there's only, 4 feet between apartment doors or whatever in New York. But like this kid it sounded like this kid was right the fuck there. And I was like, where is this kid's bedroom? Is this kid's bedroom on your fucking coat hook? Like, where is this screaming kid right now?
Yeah, what you got to do, you get yourself a box of Ike and Mike's. Those that you familiar with that candy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mix in a few NyQuil, roll them up under the doors.
I had there was once on the road where I get back from a late gig on a Saturday at like 2 a.m, and the I get myself to sleep in the hotel, and it's one of those hotels that have like the adjoining room doors.
Yeah.
And in the room on the other side of me, 6 a.m. on a Sunday, there's a family with a clown car full of children just singing Jesus praise songs. 6 a.m. on a fucking Sunday with their pre-gaming for church. I don't know what the hell was going on. But they're so loud and so obnoxious. And also, there are fucking rules about how many people in a hotel room. Like, if you have a clown car full of kids in your family, fucking buy a second room that adjoins yours so you don't bother other people, and be sensitive to the fact that it's 6 a.m. on a Sunday. Like, there are people who want to sleep.
They need to take a page out of the football thing, right? Tailgate at the church. Show up at 6 a.m. Tailgate at the church. Get your hymn on.
Communion.
Whatever it is, and then everyone piles in there excited.
Big foam number one fingers, but they're like this.
Crucifixes.
Oh Jesus!
Like
I love it.
If you so what I did though is I was so mad. I tried to sleep through it. I couldn't. I tried to call down to the desk, and they did not care. And so I was like, "Fuck this." And I called up, I opened a porn on my laptop and put the computer on with full volume next to the adjoining door. And I was like, you want to say, "Oh God"? Well, I'm gonna do the same shit. And they left. So it took about 10 minutes.
Is this story true?
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it.
Why the fuck wouldn't you do that?
I've heard you tell that one before.
It is the natural response,
Yeah. Fuck those people. I hate inconsiderately loud people. I always try to be very quiet when I'm in like public spaces, like sharing walls in a hotel room. The thing about those shared doors that you sometimes have in hotels, perfect opportunity for a glory hole. Why isn't this included?
Yeah.
It should be
double glory hole, so you both have to
you both have to open it.
Yeah. And
so like if you open it and you stick your dick in, it just hits against the door.
Each door is 2 inches, right? And then there's a 4-inch space in the middle. It's 8 inches before you're out the other side.
Yeah,
I
they've only
don't
got
know
4
if
more
I'm-
inches to work with.
I'm not sure I'm man
No,
enough.
they're gonna need special doors for
barely do
this.
I'm also sensitive. Like I've gotten to the point, I've stayed in enough hotels now that like when I walk through a hotel hallway and it's past, 10 o'clock at night, like if I'm walking through and one of the other comics is talking to me, I'm like, hold on a second, man. Like, let's get in our damn room, because like you don't want to be the person walking by somebody's door and you hear that whole like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
oh, sorry. Like that's still really annoying.
Yeah, I really hate it. I've
Shared
stayed
space,
in a
man.
lot of hotels. That's why there was a point when I discovered VRBO that I just stopped using hotels entirely and started renting like apartments and houses when we would travel. It was cheaper anyway because there'd usually be at least 3 of us.
But I got into Airbnb for a little while, and then there were so many that had so many problems that I just like a hotel better now. Because the amount of times, dude, I tried to stay in one where the guy's wife left him right before the stay. And so like this was supposed to be their rental house, and now he was just living in one of the rooms. And he thought that would be okay. And like it was one of those things. Yeah, it was one of those things where he I did too, where he said he was like, "Oh, I'm just going to take up one of the rooms." And I mean, he brought up the fact that his wife left him immediately, and I was like, "Oh, this must have happened like yesterday, man." Like this is the first thing on his mind. And I was like, "Look, I feel bad for the guy, but at the same time, get out of my fucking room." Like this is
he's breached the contract. That's the number one thing that I'm looking for is not just my own room, my own house,
my own space.
I don't want to.
Yeah,
I don't want to be staying in your like what do they call it? Like a mother-in-law suite or something like that. Like whatever, like one of those additions outside. I don't want to be in the little shithole above your garage. No, you shouldn't be anywhere near me. I should you should be somewhere else. This is
anytime I had one in Montreal where like it was some student that was managing it for whoever owned the apartment, and he was so excited that we were comedians, and he was just like trying to hang out with us, and we had to be like, "Hey man, leave. You have to leave now."
Yeah. Chiz and I rented this place one time in I think we were in Seattle. Yeah, I think we were in Seattle. And the guy was so proud of his place that he's like, I sat on the couch immediately. We were there to smoke dope, and I was getting ready to smoke some dope, and so he's taking Chiz on the grand tour of what is not a very fancy place. It's just a 2-bedroom house, somewhere in Seattle. I think that's where we were, and I'm just like, I sit down, and Chiz looks back at me like, "You're not coming," and I'm like, "No, fuck you, you're on your own." And this guy's like, "And this is what a bathroom looks like. You see, it has a sink and a mirror." right?
Flush
and if
toilets.
you follow me, I'll show you what a bed looks like.
Put the fucking keys in a Dropbox and leave me alone. Like that's all I want is to find out what the code to the door is.
He was next door, and he was like, "And make sure you take your shoes off. This is antique pecan wood hardwood flooring or something like that." And I looked at it, and it's scraped all the fuck. Like it's ruined.
Yeah.
It needs going over,
Sanding,
resurfacing, and then recoating. And I'm just like, I'm not taking my fucking shoes off. I don't want splinters, dude. Like it's not happening. It's not happening.
We had a woman once who, like probably mid-50s divorcee, who was like really excited that a couple of guys in their 30s were staying there. And so we were in like her like guest house, and she was in the other house, and she shows up. So, we check in, it's fine. And then she shows up with like drinking a glass of wine, wearing like shorts and half a shirt, just being like, "You boys need anything else?" And we're like, "Absolutely not. We do not need anything else. Please, please do not sexually assault us, miss."
I'd have fucked that lady.
I'm sure you would. She's within your swiping range. But I think I draw the line. I think I draw the line at like it's I draw the line at like, I think when like someone dies and you be like, "Oh man, they died really young."
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can't immediately say that about somebody, that's too old for me to hook up with.
Oh my God.
But wait, doesn't that start at like 60?
No, I think that starts in the 50s, where they're just like, "Oh, they died young," but the idea of like that was tragic. Like I think that was
like
tragic.
a James Dean type scenario.
Maybe it's because I'm closer to 50.
Starts
Taken
around
away
50,
too early.
Okay.
Yeah, I think 50 is the line of from that was tragic to what a shame.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, I see. Even at 47, I'm like, yeah, he lived most of his life and all the good years.
Yeah, exactly. He got through some good stuff. Everything's fine now. Yeah, sure. He doesn't get to enjoy as much retirement as he would have. But
It's like when parents get divorced, it's rough on the kids. But if those kids have graduated college, it's a different thing, right? Those kids are 27. They'll manage your parents' divorce.
Like, okay, look, I think it's every 10 years. Like 10 or under, it's not just a tragedy. It's like a prayer circle. You know what I mean? Like that's a community gets together. Everybody, that is a vigil.
Yeah, that's a disaster.
Right. 20 or younger, you have a card that everyone signs from the community. Like it's still it's something. It's a lot. You have a lot of people saying to your parents, "I'll pray for you." It's still very young. 20 to 30, you start being. That's when it's like that's a tragedy. 30 to 40 starts to be. Oh, that's too soon. 40 to 50, I think, is kind of a shame. and then 50 and up, it starts being like, well, that was a little early.
Yeah, he kind of dodged his bad years, actually.
Exactly. Once you get to above 60, they start being like, well, how'd they eat? Were they working out?
Were they smokers?
Yeah, exactly. And once you get to 70 and up, you just be like, well, everybody's time comes. So I think that there's a certain level. And then once you pass 80, you get they led a good life.
And
once you pass 90, yeah, exactly. Jesus, who would have thought that Trump would have been the youngest candidate?
Is he the youngest one still left? I think he is.
Youngest of the three main candidates. Like technically, I think Tulsi's long game is coronavirus. I think the reason she's still running.
She stopped running. She announced.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, today. Yeah.
Oh, today? Oh, wow.
I think so. Yeah.
I think it was I think once coronavirus started running around and taking out old people, I think that was probably a huge regret for Buttigieg. Like immediately he should have been like, I'm the spry one. Like I should have stayed in. But yeah, I think, and then once you get to 90, they're a hero. If you die after 90, you're a hero.
Oh yeah.
If you die, and then if you die after 100, it's a relief. So I think every 10 years, I truly believe that every 10 years.
If you make it to 102, like you won. Like why were you even still playing? You won this. You did it. You got to 100. Congratulations.
Yeah, like what it's like playing a public video game where the entire high score list is your initials. You're just like, why you play? You already have the whole thing.
Yeah.
Why
that sounds right.
Yeah, why are you still doing this? Yeah.
Dude. So I went to your show, and
yes.
one of my takeaways from it, I was really impressed by how you set the table. Right, I talked about this before on PKA. How you got up there, and it's like you told us how to be a good audience, but I actually enjoyed that part of the show. It was funny. You did it like you entertained and set the table at the same time. How long was it before you did that? I imagine early in your career, someone else set the table. Like,
I learned how to do that when I hosted Laughs, which was a show on Fox that nobody ever watched. I was my own warm-up because it was a super low-budget show. And we were doing live tapings, and there was no warm-up act. And I was like, fuck it, these guys need a warm-up act. And they're like, well, there's a host for that. I'm like, no. Before the host goes up, there needs to be someone who sets down the rules. And so I learned through that, and it was trial and error because at first I was kind of like, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. And then I started realizing that like, it's psychology, and it's more of I believe in you guys. You're going to be wonderful. We're going to have a great time together if you act like this instead of the whole like, don't heckle, keep your mouth shut. Because every now and then I would get a laugh making fun of that stuff. But your job as the warm-up isn't to get laughs. Your job is to, like you said, set the table. And if you can make it funny while you do, even better.
And there was the other side of it. Like the other thing you said was, and then there are people who are like, I'm a hard laugh. Don't we all hate them? Yeah. And, I'm in the crowd, hook, line, and sinker on everything you're saying. Like, yeah, we do hate those guys.
That one, actually, you might be misremembering a little. That is a Pete Holmes joke. But there is the... Oh, I had a joke. No, I know what you're talking about. I know the joke you're talking about. I talked about the idea of that, like, if you come here and you're an asshole, there's nothing we can do for you. Like it wasn't about like whether or not it's hard to make them laugh, but it was the idea of like you determine how much fun you have at this show. Like you've already paid for tickets. You're here now. Open yourself up to having a good time. And the like the thing I talked about, I'm kidding around with you, but the thing I talked about is the closed off energy. The idea of just like make me laugh, like make me laugh, asshole, like that kind of thing. Like the person trying to prove you wrong. And it's like, this is your night, man. I get paid the same. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, if you don't laugh, it's fine. Is it the idea of like, I get paid no matter what?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wrote down, rather than interrupt, I write down thoughts and I revisit them or not. Stolen jokes. I just wrote, I have a hard time on stolen jokes, right? Because I would suspect, right? I mean, you can tell me as a professional comedian that is okay to steal your jokes if you're a regular person. If some accountant is by the coffee maker telling your joke to a fellow one, enjoy your break, right? Like
the accountant does not lose anything socially by saying, oh man, I saw this comedian, it was great, and then telling the joke. They still got the laugh. The person's still like, hey, that was funny. I enjoyed hanging out with Bob. Bob's a good dude. You don't lose any social acumen or social acuity, whatever the fuck the word is. But like the idea of passing it off as his own, that's shitty.
So if I made a joke good enough to steal and the accountant does that, knock yourself out. If I write a joke and like it actually happened to my daughter made a joke about a movie. I think she said that what is the Liam Neeson movie? Taken was Finding Nemo for adults. And someone took that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's not her joke.
We were under the impression it was. And
that's a journal observation that many people have had. If she had it independently, that
could have been.
Highlights how bright she is.
So, but she said it in one of our videos, and then shortly afterwards, it seemed like it was a stolen joke. Who knows how it played out? Parallel thinking, or
there's a professional comedian who tells that joke. I've never written a joke Oh, please do.
Oh yeah. So accountant steals it, everything is cool. Professional comedian steals it, kind of not cool. You're supposed to come up with your own material.
Here's why the accountant stealing it is not cool, though. Okay. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
And it's the end of it is sometimes I find myself somewhere in the middle, asshole on a podcast, not exactly accountant telling it to one other dude, but not passing myself off as, some comedian either.
But you have an audience, and here's the problem. I've had someone. So I had a joke go crazy viral in a few different formats. Okay. I had a clip where I talk about. It was the big heckler clip that went viral, the first one, the idea of like, I've never, what's it called? Someone accused me of like not knowing anything about kids, so I can't talk about them. And I said, well, I've never flown a helicopter, but if I saw one in a tree, I could still say, dude fucked up.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the joke. Someone made a meme of the joke, and then that meme got super popular. And then I did that joke on stage, and someone came up to me after the show and accused me of stealing that joke from Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, motherfucker, that's my joke.
Every so often.
And no, I'm saying, and that has happened. Brett Druck, who tours with me a ton, he had a joke go very, very viral in a meme where he used to wear glasses. He doesn't anymore. And a lot of people, because they're assholes, they'll share the meme and Photoshop the person's name off of it. Like his name was on the meme. And they'll just be like, oh, let me slice it so that it's really awkward and right up to the words of the joke so his name's not on it anymore. Because for some reason that is better, even though his fucking face is there. But because he looks so different than he used to, he gets people after shows. He now does a bit. When he does the bit in his act, he talks about it going viral because and I've seen it happen a dozen times.
Yeah.
Of people coming up to him and saying, you stole that bit.
Yeah, I've been accused of it, like on this show. Like I don't remember what it was, but I did a thing one time, and I was just telling someone else's joke, but the whole premise, the whole preamble was, I heard this funny thing, or something like that, and like, how these podcasts go. Sometimes like, everybody laughs, and then like maybe Woody or the guest or Taylor or whoever like quickly has, I got a story before I can be like, yeah, it was on Comedy Central last night. It was this guy.
Yeah.
I don't like joke stealing. And like, if someone writes a joke, legitimately writes one, that's so impressive to me, because that's a skill that I don't, it's like alchemy to me. What I do if I'm funny is I tell you a story that happened to me in a funny way. Like my cadence and the way I tell you the story, like beat for beat, is what makes it funny. There's a pause, and then this happened, and that's how that's my branch of humor. That for as much as it is.
Well,
So
all you
someone
guys,
stole
I mean,
my
all you guys are
routine.
professionally funny. It's just in a different way than a monologue on stage.
Yeah, certainly.
I didn't realize it had happened, but I told a story, right? And it was something happened to me. I think it was the time I went to a black barber, and he did my hair as if I was a black person and shaved the front of it, and it looked really terrible. And it was right
got
there.
squared up.
I got squared up, and I'm on the show with clearly not a white person's haircut.
He shaves
And
and
we're
Nick's logo into the side of your head. It's real weird.
And
I'm Woody's friend, so I don't want to like shit on him, but it's like, if it were a picture from his hair looks he's styling right now. But so I feel comfortable saying this. I don't feel like it's hurtful, but at the time, I feel like I could have ripped on that hair for like 20 fucking
it was
minutes.
bad.
It was so bad.
I actually,
let
knowing
me
I was
get
going
this
on
out.
PKA this week, I extra far-headed for you guys, by the way. I
thank
got
you.
styled. Just so that, yeah.
Going into it, I thought the haircut was going to be this great experience. I thought black barbers were the most talented barbers because they did their fades and such so carefully, and that the experience of being at a black barbershop with all the banter would be wonderful. That's why I went there. And after they did my hair and there was like awkward silence, like I ruined everything just by existing, and the haircut itself was terrible and not what I was looking for.
Yeah, they wanted to talk about honkies, and you're
hold on.
sitting there.
And then the kicker is, after they did all this, I gave them my son. Right. So they cut his hair bad too.
Never got him back.
Anyway,
I was like, as a tip, that's weird.
I saw a comedian tell my story. Someone sent me a Reddit message and they're like, look, this guy stole your whole thing. And it even ended with like, then he did my son. And I was like, huh. But I didn't mind. I almost felt like I contributed a joke out there to the world.
No, that's horseshit. That's absolutely. I think anyone who, whether you're speaking professionally, writing professionally, a combination of both, like stand-ups do, your IP is all you have. And so someone stealing that, and also, like I said before, it does nothing. It takes no credit away from you to give the credit to the person who wrote it. You're still an interesting person who found it. You're still telling a good story. You're still charming people. And so if you go out of your way to not give that credit, like I have people all the time, that helicopter thing gets commented on Reddit constantly. And thankfully, I have a fucking army of people who will write under it and they'll tag my username. Or they'll just be like, hey, I also liked that joke that Steve Hofstetter told.
You know the difference?
And like that's positive.
I perform, if you call it, on a format where you can't use anything twice. So like my IP doesn't have, I feel like, the same value that yours does, where you might run with a bit for a year.
Okay,
Yeah,
true,
we've got
but at the same
audience.
time,
It would be like if you had the same audience every night, right? Like if you played the same club in the same town, same small town every night.
I mean, you saw what happened on the show today, kind of accidentally. Like, I'm guessing I told that hotel story on this show before. I've been on here like 9 times.
I watch your comedy.
But I've never told that in my act. I wrote it on Reddit. I wrote it on Reddit years ago. So
I
it's
follow you on
possible
Reddit
it was
too.
on there.
I know that story. I'll just say that from you.
Right, but that's my point. You knew that story, and Woody, when you were like, did that really happen to you? There might have been an element of like, oh, I've heard that before. Is that your like, or you just, or maybe you were just saying like, there's no way you would play porn to a family, and if you say that, you do not know me well. But the the idea of not even knowing necessarily where you heard something. There's a thing called cryptomnesia, which is basically, and I had it happen once with one of my best jokes. The premise of it, I heard from another comedian 5 years earlier, didn't realize I heard it from him, commented on his joke on Reddit. It was the same premise. But when something happened on Twitter that like there was something trending on Twitter, the joke that I did was, I saw Leviticus was trending on Twitter. The part of the joke that's not his is I said, why is it trending on Twitter? Did Jay-Z have a baby? And so like that one was mine. But then I said, because it was trending because of that Bible verse, thou shalt not lie with a man the way one would lie with a woman. And to me, that doesn't sound like a prohibition. That sounds like sex advice.
Yeah.
That's the premise.
Yeah.
He had the same premise. Now, I went on for another 2 minutes in a different direction than he went on, but it doesn't matter. The reason that premise came so easily to me when I saw Leviticus trending for that reason is because I had seen it 5 years earlier. And I didn't realize where I had seen it until after the special was already recorded, after that's already out in the world. And another comedian was like, hey, man, that's Keith's joke. And then I realized, oh, fuck. And I had to call him and apologize to him because I didn't realize I took it.
How often do comedians like believe in that apology? Like, hey, yeah, Steve stole my joke. And then Steve says, accidentally, you know?
I think it depends on who you are. I'm so virulently anti-joke theft. Like, I run a Facebook group of comedians and writers against plagiarism, and like we're the ones who got when the Fat Jewish had his book signing canceled. That was us. Like, when we see shit like that, we mobilize and like make sure that, you know, his sponsors know that he's stealing our shit and like etc. And so
you really
like that,
Jew it up.
it's well, and this was a guy against a guy named Fat Jewish of all things. Which, by the way, that bothers me the most of the bullshit that he does. It's like, you can't, Jerry Seinfeld did all this hard work making a good name for Jewish people and you got to go fuck it up.
He's your fucking hood ornament.
Seinfeld?
Yeah. We talked about this pre-show. I like Jewish people because of two things: Jesus Christ and Jerry Seinfeld, and not in that order.
Oh, I forgot that was pre-show.
I did too.
Yeah, sorry about that. I forgot that was pre-show. But
no worries.
Yeah, but but my point is that I have a track record of calling people out when they do it. And not only that, but also being careful of it. I wrote an opinion piece about how, and it was called "No, Your Joke Is Not Stolen." And it was about like when two people make the same joke about something in the news, they didn't steal that from you. The writers of Conan did not watch your set in front of 4 people at an open mic and steal that from you. They saw the same fucking story that was a very viral story, and they came to the same conclusion.
Yeah.
Like you can tell when it's stolen if the transitions are the same, or if the inconsequential details are the same.
Or perhaps even
like I saw,
like you can tell when it's stolen. Like comedy is a bit like mathematics.
Yeah.
In that way. It's like it's if I see your order of operations and it's identical to mine, I'm like, whoa, we got there the exact same way. We dotted the I's and crossed the T's exactly the same. I don't know about that. But if we have the same observation, that's
why it was so important to me to get the part about sending Colin to the Black Barber, because everything else could have just been his experience that was like mine. But
absolutely.
But
that is the kicker. Yeah. That is the kicker. Like and it's weird. That guy didn't even have a son. But
honestly, I'm going to interrupt you for the 4th time, I think. The punchline of that joke, if you were on stage, like that could be like an actual bit of you telling that, and then you put on stage, you like hit a clicker, and it's a picture of you and Colin sitting there with those black people haircuts. Because, dude, I saw it, and it is comical. Like,
it really was.
It's like they're both Will Smith from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but they're the whitest two gentlemen you've ever seen, and they're just both like.
Colin has red hair too. Yeah.
Even Colin knows. He's like, I don't know if this looks good.
I saw.
Daddy says it's cool,
comic.
but I don't think so.
The two most egregious that I've seen were I was at this was 2005, I think. I was at the Calgary Comedy Festival, and I saw this kid who, he did this poem, and it was a word for word Jeff Ross poem, and it was a thing that played on Comedy Central a ton. I knew it by heart when I was in high school. Like, I still know it by heart, and I go over to him afterward and I go, "Hey man, that's a Jeff Ross poem. I'll do it in a second. I know my storytelling." And so he goes, I gotta save the story so there's a good punch so that so many of the viewers can think that I made it up. So then I go over to him afterward and I go, "Hey man, that's the poem you did is a Jeff Ross poem." And he goes, No, man, my friends and I wrote that in school." And I go, No, your friends and you said it in school, but that's a Jeff Ross poem. And he kept insisting. So then I go, the poem is called "I Miss Her Sometimes. I ran into my ex-wife the other day. Then I backed up and I ran into her again. I miss her sometimes." And I look at him and I go, "Do you think I memorized that from your set, or do you think I already knew it?" And like, he still kept insisting that it was his. And I was like, it's a thing you did as a kid, but it's not, it's word for word, the same exact thing, same title, same misdirect. And then there was another guy at the same festival who did an Adam Hunter joke. And it's a joke that Adam did on God, this is how long ago it was. It was not even Ferguson, it was Kilborn. And so the joke was, and Adam was my roommate. I knew this joke so well. And the joke was, I hate when someone tells me they have a boyfriend after I buy them a drink. Be like, oh no, thanks, but I have a boyfriend. Oh no, it'd be like, he goes, oh, what's your number? And she goes, oh, I have a boyfriend. And he goes, all right, what's his number? Because he owes me a Corona. So good joke. But the guy told it with the same fucking beer in Canada. You don't find a ton of Corona in Canada. And so I called him out on it. And I go, hey man, you saw Adam Hunter do that joke. And like, that's his joke. And he just keeps insisting that it's his. And I go, I've been here for 6 days. I haven't seen anybody drink a Corona. Like, why would you have the same exact beer reference? That's crazy. So then and that was the last night of the festival, at the post party, he was ordering Corona to try to like prove me wrong. To try to just be like, see, it's possible.
Those both seem like possible cryptonesias. Do I have the word right? It's a new word for me tonight.
Yeah. Cryptomnesia.
This is mid-90s, though, from Jeffrey Ross.
Do you accept it as cryptonesia? Like in their explanations? Like, I think when they said this is our joke, they might not be lying. They might be wrong, but not lying. Their intent is...
Well, the thing about the Jeff Ross poem, that is a word for word. Like, the thing with he owes me a Corona, I guess. But what I'm saying, the reason I think that's not cryptomnesia is because the first part of that joke could have been parallel thinking. The first part of that joke could have been cryptomnesia, where he could have seen Adam done it on the Late Show. But to have the same exact beer reference, an inconsequential detail, that could have been he owes me a Molson. It's Canada. That would have made it a better joke. Like that's what I'm saying. When there's a detail that doesn't change the punchline and you use the same detail, that's when it's stolen.
Yeah, he's been telling that joke since like 95 or something like that. That's an old.
Oh, the Jeff Ross poem?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's his.
Yeah.
That's his. And it's funny. And it's not like I miss her sometimes. There's tons
brilliant.
of punchlines, but then I throw another rock, but there's tons of ways that you could make that your own to some extent. But no, it's his. It's his. He was the first one to do it.
But anyway, that goes back to, so what Woody asked was the idea of like, how many times does a comedian accept the apology? I think it depends on the comedian apologizing, and it depends on the person who's accepting the apology. So the comedian, I'll give him a shout out. Keith Lowell Jensen is the guy that I cryptomnesia'd from. And I was actually working with him in probably 3 months from then at the Punchline in Sacramento. And I called him up. I didn't have his number, but I knew someone who knew him. And I was like, hey man, I feel terrible. This is what happened. And he was cool with it right away. Like he was like, hey man, I know you didn't mean anything by it, because I think he knows me well enough and he knows my reputation well enough to know that there's no fucking way I would ever do that. Like, and I also immediately except for the part where it's in the special, I took the meme down. I took the clip down. Like, it's still in the special itself. There's nothing I can do about that. But I scrubbed every other reference to it because I was like, this doesn't feel right. Even though 2 minutes of this joke is mine, the premise is not, and so it's not original.
And even all the way to the accountants at the water cooler, you still have it. Would you say all your comedian peers agree with you on that?
No. I mean, all my comedian peers don't agree with me on a lot of things.
Uh-huh.
But I think that it is not it's a cardinal sin to do it on stage. It's a cardinal sin to do it, on a podcast. It is just kind of a dick move to, if you know where you heard it and you actively don't give credit, like that's a shit thing. Like if you try to I broke up with someone over trying to pass off an urban legend as her story.
What urban legend? I gotta know now.
Oh, it's a horrible thing.
The
she also made it.
Man, like what was this?
No, she also made it.
Tree, and it's something was scratching on
the worst part of it. Well, I'll tell you after the thing. So the story is, and the way she told it is that she was a friend of hers was dog sitting, and she was over at the place, and so she's dog sitting with a friend of hers in DC. and they and the dog is very old, and one day they come back from dinner and the dog's dead, and she's freaking out because she's like, oh my god, I killed this dog, what do I do? And so she calls the family, and the family says, don't worry about it, the dog was very old, we knew this moment would come, it's okay, you're not in trouble. And she's like, okay, but she realizes that like she's dog sitting for a week. She can't just leave a dead dog at this house. So she's like, what do I do? And they say, well, there's a vet, that does disposal. You could just take it to the vet. So she's like, okay. And she hangs up, and then she doesn't realize that, like, how the fuck am I going to take this giant dog to the vet? It's like two girls who are relatively small, this enormous dog. So she finds a huge suitcase, and she puts the dog in the suitcase because she's got to take the metro to get to the vet. It's like 2 stops away. She can't just walk with this suitcase. And so she gets on the metro, and she's like, the two of them are struggling to get it down the stairs. And this guy comes over, and he's like, oh, can I help you? And they're like, oh, yes, please. So he takes, the suitcase down the stairs for them. They wait for the train. They're talking. And the guy's like, what is in that suitcase? And she's like, oh, it's DJ equipment. Because they don't want to say, hey, I have a dead dog in the suitcase.
Sure.
So the train comes, and as they start to get on the train, he grabs a suitcase and runs. So that's the story that she tells me. Now, in her story, by the way, the guy who took the suitcase was black.
Of course he was.
In the urban legend,
funny.
In the urban legend, he is not. She made the story more racist because she's like, oh, no one will ever believe that someone will steal something unless they're not white. That's ridiculous. So, but she tells me the story. I had not heard the urban legend before, and I just heard it as a crazy story. And she says the whole thing. She tells it as if she went through it and her friend's panicking, and she calmed her friend down and this whole thing. And it's like 3 days later, and I'm at dinner with like one person I know and a couple other people. And one of the people says something about like talking about how, like their friend's father's dog just died, and they had like a hell of a time trying to find like a way to bury it properly. And I go, oh my God, I heard this crazy story. And I start to tell the story, and I get through like 3 sentences of it before the guy goes, yeah, and the guy stole the dog. And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, that's an urban legend. My dad used to tell me that story. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I Google it, and it's fucking everywhere. It's appeared as like legend since like 82. Like this story has been out there. And she passed it off as if it happened to her. And I was like, fuck you. Everything you say to me is a lie. Like, couldn't you just say, hey, I know this funny story. I know this interesting story. And instead she was like, this happened to me. And also black people are thieves. Like that was her. That was her
funny
position.
way to do that, I think. And sometimes it's the best way because timing is so important with jokes, and interrupting someone's expectations is sometimes such a good punchline. Like, tell it like it's you, and then at the end be like, that's not mine though. That's an urban legend. I had to tell it that way. It's funnier if I tell it that way because you've already gotten your laughs.
Absolutely, like the Good Will Hunting, like the
it doesn't ruin the joke because the joke already. It's like it would be like if you ate something and some delicious meal, and after you'd eaten it and enjoyed it thoroughly, they were like, that was snake, right? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't have eaten. I wouldn't have enjoyed it if I'd known it was snake the whole time. But yeah, it was good. I guess I like snake. All right, okay.
Yeah, God damn it, that's some good snake. Woody, the part of Good Will Hunting is they tell the joke about the pilot saying the pilot's on the intercom, and he says he goes, I could use some coffee and a blowjob. And the flight attendant realizes he's live and everyone heard that. So she runs up the aisle, and he goes, and so I say, don't forget the coffee. So that's the joke. But the part of the movie they talk about putting the I in it is like it can make it funnier, but you still can't pass it off as your own story. It just makes you an unreliable source. It makes you an untrustworthy person.
It does. I've known people who tell a story where they are the hero of this story, and then 6 years later they tell it again. It turns out that like they were an accessory to the story, like on the side or something. They weren't the centerpiece they made themselves out to be originally. And it's like, You're full of shit.
My
aren't you?
my brother actually.
I was at a gas
tells an
station
exact-
and this guy, he was causing a problem. And I was like, yo, bro, you want some of this? And he was like, totally not. You know, he backed down because he saw how big I am, just barreling at him like a human machine. And we're all sitting here. You know who I'm talking about, Woody. We're all sitting here
I
like,
do.
and we're all sitting here
Was
like,
there- oh my
you
God,
sir
is
are
that
a
a
liar.
Oh, I actually have a story that like every time my brother tells it about me, because sometimes people like will exaggerate in a better way, but it's me in the story, and so every time my brother tells the story, I get worse in the story. Where it's like it's like Willie Randolph. I'm a Mets fan. I was at a game when Willie Randolph was a coach. He tossed a ball into the stands, and I made a nice catch without a glove. It was a pretty good catch. I reached over with my left hand and I caught it. First time my brother told the story, he told it that way. Second time he tells the story, like, yeah, I reached a little bit. Third time he tells the story, yeah, it came right to me. Fourth time he tells the story, Willie Randolph handed me the fucking ball. Like, each time it gets
Fifth
way worse.
time, it hit me in the nose.
Yeah, a kid picked it up. I pushed the kid. Like each time it gets way worse. Willie Randolph tried to hand it to a kid. I punched him in the face and I took it and I said, "That's because you have cancer." Like each time it just gets way worse.
These days, it hit me in the nose and the whole team laughed at me and I shit myself.
Yeah, I mean, I never said I didn't shit myself when I caught it, but but yeah, that's each time he tells it, the fish gets smaller instead of the other way around.
Yeah, I'm always skeptical of stories where the teller is the most badass of he's like, yeah, everybody else was just a pussy and then there I was.
Yeah,
And
I tell
stood
stories
up
where I tell stories, and I've told stories on this show, and like I was joking around about it, about how there are people in the comments who'll be like, "That story's not true," and it's like, no, I'm only gonna tell stories where I look good in them. Like, I'm not gonna tell stories about like, and then I had this one thing that I thought everybody was gonna laugh at, and it was awful. Like, I'm not gonna. That's not the story I'm gonna tell. I'm a professional comic, but like all my stories that I'm the hero, it's with words. I've never told a story where I've beaten somebody up. Like that's not how things work with me. Like that's the one weapon I have, so that's
Obviously.
the story I'm going to tell. Yeah, it's I'm a very this is me big. Like you have no idea how
You're
skinny
off the
I
mic.
used to
You're
be.
very affected.
It's disgusting.
You're very affected and effeminate and oy vey. And
Yeah, I shake hands like this.
Yeah. No, like this.
Yeah, I shake hands like a high school skeleton model. Like
Anybody ever
like
give you
high
one of
school
those?
science class skeleton.
You ever have a lady give you one of these?
I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Of course not. We're not from fairy tales. So give me a real handshake. I really like a lady who gives you a real handshake. When that happens, I'm like, oh, all right then.
Yeah, be like, oh,
Like-
this
like-
is
like-
actually going to be a match.
You could jerk a cock. I can tell you've got some grip strength. Show me what you got. Like
Be like, then you show up at the hospital 4 hours later. You're like, she can really jerk a cock.
it exploded.
Oh god, there's blood everywhere. There was a kid we worked in a summer camp with when I was 15. Where like he was so excited he got his first hand job, and like the girl had never given one either, and she made it bleed. And like
Cock.
that story was like legendary, and one day I just was like, how do we know that? Like, which one of them told somebody? Like, which one of them involved in that? And my friend just goes, oh, it was the sheets. We saw it on the sheets, and we asked him.
I don't like this. I don't need this. I don't need this in my mind right
Like,
now.
we just saw the sheets, and we asked him. We're like, is that hers? And he's like, no. And he told him what happened.
Good God, she chafed the blood out of his cock. Like it's, why doesn't he stop and be like, whoa? I have definitely. I was
because he was a 15-year-old getting his first hand job. He was at that point. I mean,
Steve
at that
understands.
point, you're so bad at sex at that point that you're just like, oh, I guess this is supposed to feel this way.
No,
Like the first girl I ever made out with may as well have put a fucking dustbuster in my mouth and tried to suck my tongue out with it. It was horrific. But at the time, I made out with her for hours because I was like, this is the greatest thing. Someone wants to kiss me. This is amazing.
I know this girl, and she's got rough hands because she's a stripper, and I think like working the pole.
Yeah.
Like
the pole. Oh, I was
they're
like,
not,
wait
like,
a minute.
rough.
I have missed.
They're
I
not
thought
like
you were
rough
going to
like
be
a
like, she works on
cowboy.
sandpaper.
Yeah,
She
they're
just-
not. They're not like rough like a cowboy calluses, but like they're not as soft as mine, frankly.
I do a lot of pull-ups. I can imagine what they're like.
I moisturize, and every time I've ever worked out, I wore gloves, and like working on the farm, always had to have my gloves, and my hands are very, very soft. All right, ladies appreciate that sort of thing. Anyway, this lady, very strong, rough-ish hands, and it makes like a hand job way too intense. And so I'm just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. All right, whoa, hang on. We need more lube.
It's like ribbed for your not pleasure.
Yeah, it's like a post-orgasm hand job. Like when you just want them to stop. Like, all right, I've had too much stimulation. Stop. It's like that.
Oh,
but before
that's
the
definitely
orgasm.
a thing, by the way. Can we talk about that for a second? Because that's not a thing I think enough people talk about. The idea of like the second it's done, please stop immediately. Like for the 3 women who listen to this program because your boyfriends make you, I think that it's really important for you to know this. I bet, by the way, every now and then, because like I've said this on the program before, tons of PKA people come to shows. And so, but every now and then there would be like a PKA person with like a super hot girlfriend. And they'll just be like, oh man, we listen to you on PKA all the time. And I'll just say to her, I'll be like, oh, you a big PKA fan? Like I'll turn to her and she'll just like smile politely. I'm like, nah, okay, I get it. It's his thing, but you love him. So, but anyway, the idea of like, once it's over, like you gotta stop. You gotta stop, or that shit goes from this is the best feeling to this is the worst feeling very, very
So you've got a bloody nose. That's what's coming.
It's oh god. I thought that's how you started. Like
There's gonna be blood one way or another, I promise.
Oh god. Yeah, I think that a lot like there needs to be, I forget who, I think it was Doug Stanhope had a great bit about the idea that like we don't teach our sons how to masturbate, and like that's the greatest thing in our lives, and yet we don't pass on that knowledge. We just expect them to figure it out. And like I think that's true. Like sex ed is not technique at all. It's Danny Giles has a good bit about, he calls it consequence ed. It's not sex ed, it's just consequence ed. Like no one's actually teaching like, hey, clockwise motion. Like there are just so many things that like it takes a lifetime to figure out.
Shucks, I'm not sure I'm aware of that. Clockwise.
That was a reference to fingering. Like there are guys who think you're supposed to finger like this. Like
yeah, this is a massage.
Fucking rank amateurs.
This is a massage right. We're performing.
Yeah, this is not. You're not just supposed to be like bitty 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 bitty. Like it's not.
I like the idea of using 2 fingers, like you're like deflating dough.
It's like the old like AB like just mash the keypad as much as possible. Like there are things we just don't teach people.
I don't think they should. I think you'd have to learn the hard way though, because like go on,
or the semi-hard way.
Yeah, or the semi-hard way. Like I don't want to talk too much about technique. Maybe I've learned some things that I find give me an edge. You know,
proprietary knowledge.
Advantage.
Proprietary knowledge. All right. I
God, what a YouTube series. Like there are all
this
these
is a
like
Patreon only kind of series right here.
Like here's what happens when your SD card gets stuck in your camera. Like there's a million of those videos. Like why not a series of videos we can all like just like a swarthy dude with a 6-pack and no shirt, just a Jason Momoa looking motherfucker.
Yeah.
Just like comes on and like teaches you how to do things.
Yeah, if y'all sign up for our Patreon, is linked down below. You know, we do a hangout every month where there's like 10 of us in a call, and I'll show you exactly how to make a lady nut by tickling the small of her back with your very long fingernails.
I saw
that's a reference you won't get, Steve, but it's awful.
Nope.
Oh yeah, but Steve does.
Yeah.
And it's good that he doesn't.
Yeah, I'm really glad that I do not. But I do remember, like I remember when like someone, it was like a friend of mine who told me when I was 16, a friend of mine like told me where the clit was. Like he's like, it's the thing above. Like, I mean, most of us start out thinking that there's only one hole.
Yeah, I was a teenager and I was watching some show on TV and they asked guys where the clit was, and they made it like a safe for TV image of a vagina, you know, basically that oblong hole thing. And I
looks
was
like
like,
a
these idiots don't know
deflated
where
football.
it was, and I thought it was right between like the pussy and the anus, like right at the bottom there. Like I would have pointed to
That
the
was the
taint
taint?
at the time, and I'm like, oh, these people are so stupid. They're pointing everywhere, and then they said, oh,
Now,
it's
that
up
could
here.
be useful for something else.
And I
but
was like, I'm
not,
glad they didn't ask me. I would have embarrassed myself on TV just like
Yeah.
these gentlemen.
Yeah, be like, oh, it ain't there.
No.
Yeah, I think that sexual prowess is something that you should have to learn yourself. I feel like these are like, this is like alchemy, right? Like you, there's no need to be sharing these secrets. You
But
know,
what about understudies? There could be academies.
I
You could be in the guild.
understudies in the bedroom means something completely different in my world.
Okay,
my
fair. Sorry, I meant apprenticeships. Wrong word.
friend.
What's an
Sorry,
understudy in the
apprenticeships.
bedroom? Kyle, lay it out for me.
I don't know. I was just really making a joke there. There's no.
I legit thought like,
No,
okay, Woody.
I suppose
Understudy-
it has
First you
something
learn
to do with
not
eating
tying,
ass or
then-
being able to eat someone. It was just kind of
I
a
see the
point of
under
reference.
like an undercarriage study person. I get
Sure,
you. Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Oh,
But
I
yeah.
thought you were saying like the idea of like, oh, in this production of Sex, our star performer is under the weather today, so we have an understudy who's going to come in, and you're just like, oh man, it's not the main one, but all right, I guess we'll see how they are.
Yeah. I feel like you learn these things over the course of a lifetime, and your experiences, and you see, trial and error.
But that's
And
true for anything in life. So why
more
should
so
we be
with
so
sex
proprietary?
though, because sex is so weird. Because like, all right, so you have to have very specific circumstances to even run your experiment, right? Like, if you're trying to figure out how certain chemicals react, well, you just get a bunch of fucking jars and beakers and go to work in your bedroom or whatever, your garage. But if
and you
have
can blow
to
your
have a-
eyebrows off in both
might.
situations.
but you have to have a lady present, right? And preferably an experience with multiple ladies, so that you really get a barometer for like, oh, I guess that only, because there's some things that one girl will like that another will hate, and so
Absolutely.
you need this sort of you need a big study, right?
But that's what I'm saying. Like in order for you to learn,
sample size.
you have had sex with enough people that you learn what works for most people. Every now and then you have sex with someone and you're just like, well, nothing's fucking working here. Like this person's into stuff that, clearly into things that in a way that I don't want to do it, or has a different rhythm or whatever else it is. But you have to have sex with enough people to figure out not only what you like, but what more than half the other people like.
What you need. So with infection, you use broad spectrum antibiotics when you're not sure exactly what you have, right? You need to learn the broad spectrum sexual techniques.
That is 100% true. Holy shit.
There are some broad spectrum sex acts that just work on everybody, right? You whip out that Hitachi Magic Wand, and it doesn't matter who it is. They're just like, oh, okay, all righty then. But some girls, you stick your tongue in her butthole, and she's gonna like shit on you immediately.
Oh,
from surprise.
that's the Hitachi Magic Wand, the tongue in the butthole.
Oh,
no, that's a literal device that you seem to be unaware
You need
of.
to Google this thing because it is.
I'll send you an Amazon link right now.
And consider
use
the
my-
Domi.
By the way, this
code.
is worth. It sounds like this is worth getting coronavirus over. So yeah, send it over. I'll go get one.
Consider the Domi 2.
Yeah.
It's the wireless version. Batteries have come a long way.
So this is like some sort of vibrator, I'm assuming.
Yeah, you've probably seen one before. Just didn't know the
You
name
know
of
what?
it.
I believe in. I'm not into performance enhancers. I think you should do this without steroids.
Look, it's hard to live your life through this world and have never been
exposed
to this thing.
I juice frequently.
No,
I totally. Along the
I
lines
actually
of what
think-
we were saying, I have wondered. So I met my wife at 19. I was wondering, like, it is possible that while I think I'm good at sex, I am actually only good at sex with Jackie, and that if I were to like ever find myself in a situation where I was with someone else, they might be like, dude, you suck.
You guys might be having like 1990 sex,
Right?
basically.
Could
Like
be.
you guys might be doing the latest stuff from like the early 90s, where this
Well,
was
what
like
we need here is an
cutting-edge
outside observer, clearly.
Chatterbait.com/Woody's Gamer Tag.
I
There'll be
say
a
we draw
performance on
straws.
Friday.
We draw straws, and Yeah,
and figure out which one of you guys has to fuck Woody. Is that what you're doing?
Right. Woody has to perform what he does to Jackie on the short straw. And that's how this. Oh, you're gonna get to watch. You're gonna get to watch. Please, she's a lady.
No, it's possible that like there's all this stuff that's been developed.
Well, it's not as if
since
I have no exposure to. Steve, you might be unaware, but there's a lot of media out there on the internet, which
That's true.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I've seen Bob Ross paint, but I'm not gonna make any masterpieces over here.
Jared Berenstein, who's one of the guys who tours with me a bunch, has a joke about how he used to be a prude, and then he got more sexually experienced, but then life passed him by, and now he's a prude again, which basically just means he doesn't eat ass.
Pussy.
Like that's what's changed.
step up.
Where
your
he was like,
game.
I'm into other stuff, but that's not a thing. I don't do that either. That's not a thing. I think it was. Do you guys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I shouldn't have even asked. Woody, do you?
Yeah.
All right,
anything. Yeah, I would say actually
save the marriage.
game has
you guys have been having
expanded.
sex with the same person.
You start off with with just one or two tools in the toolbox, and as time goes,
You get the full craftsman set.
exactly.
That's
I got
what's in your utility
pneumatics.
belt.
I got a lift, air compressor in the corner, wood lathe by the wall.
But when you
240
do,
volts in here, son.
how fresh does the shower have to be?
Immediate.
It's pretty. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I mean. Like that's
Like immediate. And like if we're really down for some action, then she's cleaned out back there. She's applied an enema. We've planned ahead, and it's just something you do. There's been a trim, preferably a wax, and you're gonna get after it. I really.
Oh, so this is not like a
spontaneous
Tinder
ass
thing.
eating.
Yeah.
No, there's no such thing as. I don't think I've ever spontaneously eaten ass. No. This is a like, all right, now we're gonna go have sex kind of thing. Like no spontaneous ass eating. You got to have some real love involved.
Look, I'm. This is not the. I'm in 101. You're in the advanced class, all right?
Yeah,
I'm learning about ass eating 101 right here.
That's super effective, and a lot of girls have never had that done. And the reaction that you get is it makes you feel good to make them feel good. I've known girls who are like, whoa, what is this thing? Really? Down there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. You don't mind? No, I like it. Well.
Yeah.
I like you. So check or credit card? Can I swipe down here?
Yeah, just Venmo at that point.
Do I tap it or swipe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I'm not.
And by the way, I'm not like disgusted by it. It's just I've never been in a situation where I feel like. Where if I'm in a situation where I feel like the regular tools in the toolbox aren't working, I feel like that's not going to be the magic wand that'll suddenly change everything. I think just
the magic wand is the literal magic wand that will.
The actual magic wand.
I sent you a link down below. That's the corded version. It's like $55. It's worth $550. I have two in case one gives out. There are attachments for them. I don't know if. No need to confirm or deny whether you're aware of the attachments for the magic wand, Woody, but there are attachments. One of them looks like a question mark. Is there like a flamethrower? That's my self-defense wand. That's a completely different wand. Yeah, there's one that has like a question mark, and it sort of goes in and hits the G spot. So you're like going in and getting that curve action, but then it's very intense vibration. 2 speeds, super high and super duper high. Like those are the 2 speeds that.
Now that I know that you guys eat ass, when I said like, what are your survival skills for the apocalypse? I mean that's one because we'll never run out of fuel.
Never.
Like you go across the country, you just have to trade. You just trade that for
Jesus Christ.
some dude with a gas can, and suddenly you're fine.
I don't want to eat crusty post-apocalypse man butt.
But you've got skills, Kyle. You cannot ignore your skills. It's very important.
This is the one you actually want. It's
damn.
It's the same except that it has the dial box.
Oh, you got the dial. See, I bought the dial aftermarket.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen stuff like this.
I knew that you had seen it in your, comings and goings at some point in your life.
My comings and my
Yeah.
goings.
Yeah.
I've seen it in my comings and comings.
It can be without the dial box, you might not get the speed you're looking for at the moment.
So I've actually only ever been to like an adult store once.
Okay.
And it was because I was hanging out with a couple of friends and someone said something about like going to one, and I was like, I've actually, I don't think I've ever been to one of those. And they're like, okay, well, we have to take you. And it was like I was hanging out with like two pretty women who wanted to take me to a sex shop, and I was like, all right. And so we went, and I realized that like the vast majority of things there, it's probably like 95, and this was an enormous one because we were in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a state shaped like a dick. Like, what do you want? So everything in that store was pretty much for women or gay men. There was like very, very little for straight guys.
Yeah, there have been some advancements for men, with the various pocket pussies.
Yeah, but there's like
and such.
Yeah, but there was like a shelf of that, and then an emporium of like vibrators and giant dildos and like and games based on everything's a penis in the game, and like there's like a lot of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there's very, very little for straight dudes, and I think it's because most of us don't need it. Like a good gust of wind is a sex toy.
You might be right. I had a different theory. I could be wrong, but I thought that women.
By the way, I don't have coronavirus. We've just been talking a lot. Some horse.
I thought that women, because they have periods, are naturally inclined to like devices like tampon inserters and pads, and whereas it's just my own
it's like
thing.
An evolution thing.
Almost like look, they're used to tools, and with guys or not, there's nothing that you ever have to do to your penis really. And because of that, there's almost like a barrier to break when you start introducing tools. Whereas women, it's
there's a company called Love Sense. They make excellent toys. These are controlled by an app on your phone, and you can either use Bluetooth for close range control, or it has internet capabilities. So
it's like a put it in while you're at work type of thing.
You can be anywhere in the world, and I can be over here in quarantine, controlling the intensity and the pace of the vibrations. I can program in all sorts of things. I can download other people's programs, and it'll be like boom, 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 boom.
This sounds
boom,
like
boom.
both hot and supervillain shit.
Yeah,
like the idea of like.
I haven't tried it, but there are male masturbators that match up to videos. So like when they're going heavy, you're going heavy. If they slow down or change position, you take a pause. And the video.
Go
ahead.
I think here's the difference, though. I disagree with your evolutionary theory.
Okay.
I think couple of differences. One, there are a lot of women who would love to orgasm and not have to talk to us. Like there's a decent amount of that. There's also just the idea of like with a guy, if I want to get it over with. Like if I'm by myself, I want to get it over with as quick as possible. I want it to be like, here's a thing I want to do. I want to have that feeling and get on with my day. But there are women who like, I'm going to make a night of this. I'm going to make an evening. I'm going to bring myself to the brink, or I'm going to do this 10 times in a row because evolutionarily they can do that we can't. And so like for me, now look, I'm a goal-oriented person, but like the idea of like getting things done and walking away, whereas like there are a lot of women who are like, let's light some candles, let's take a bath, drink some wine, play some music. Like I've never been like, oh man, I wanna whack off. Let me put on some Tom Petty. Like I've never been like but I've been like, oh, I want to have sex. Let me put on some Tom Petty. So like I think it's a different thing.
Because the women will set out for like an event, an evening of fun, and guys are just in and out.
Sometimes I got some time to kill.
Yeah. Although I guess my theory doesn't take into account why there are so many there are a lot of sex toys for gay dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think there are a lot of maybe it's just more acceptable to have like a severed dick than like a separate vagina. I don't know.
I think it is. Yeah.
In the comments, why don't let's give your feedback.
Yeah, I have a collection. I have an enormous collection, thousands of dollars.
Of what?
Various sex toys.
I've wondered, like, I don't know. Maybe
I got
my
like a
mind
big, crazy
is twisted.
fuck machine. That's got the speed. It's just a crazy fuck
You have
machine.
that?
you know. Oh yeah,
Here's the question. I felt like
I'll show you.
sex toys should be for a person or a couple, right? I would feel weird if I use the same toy on person after, like, if they extend it between girlfriends.
That's actually how coronavirus got spread. Originally,
people don't share
weren't
these thoughts?
disinfecting their severed dicks.
Um,
No, Woody, I absolutely agree with you. And also, I'd like to add that, like, it depends. And look, it depends on the type of women that you date.
I have a good
think.
answer to that when he's done.
But I absolutely, which is why I'm going first. You're the headliner on this question. So I have been in a situation like, look, I have two things when it comes to like sexual objects at home. I have condoms and I have lube. And I've had like, hooking up with a girl and she's like, why do you have lube? Like, what, you get laid enough that you have your own lube ready to go?
What a boring
And like
bitch.
and that's why I'm saying, like, it depends on like if
You
you
should
date
explain. I
people-
don't
mean,
get
the
laid
people-
very often, which is why I have lube.
Yeah. Be like, which is both, it's both for me and also you see most of the bottles still here. So I just think that it depends. Like, look, Kyle, you're gonna bring someone home who's like, where is your sex swing? Like, they're gonna assume you
And I'm
have
gonna
one.
tell them where it is.
Right, but that's my
In the
point.
dungeon,
They're not
obviously.
like they're not right. They're not gonna be taken aback by that. I think it depends on who you date. And
I mean,
before
in
Kyle
terms
goes,
of like, if you're too prepared, you look a little either. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll be quick, Kyle. If a girl said, "Hey, Woody, my last boyfriend loved this prostate massager," I'd be like, "He did, huh? Like, can we get a new one for me?"
I would never phrase it like that. I would say, girls go crazy for this one. Come check it out. You'd never phrase that. You don't bring up anybody.
There's various testimonials on the side of it. Be like 4 stars, Becky.
Nancy was here.
I'm trying to find the sex machine that I have, but
I just think that, like, I agree. It's a very personal thing. The same way that, like, look, you can wash a pair of underwear a million times. I'm not ever wearing someone else's underwear. Like, if I'll buy a t-shirt at a secondhand store with no problem.
So,
But the idea of like those boxers, put them in the fucking garbage.
also, I haven't dated new people when there
In at
was an
least 10 years.
understanding that like everyone, like 25, that like everyone had a sexual history, right? Like, I think when if Kyle were to meet a lady, a new one, no one's playing the virgin card anymore, right?
Right.
And they're communicative before they're back at the apartment or whatever. So there's probably a whole different scene than I'm used to, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. But at the same time, there are still, I think a lot of dating is pretending. Like, we all know that the other person is, look, if you have sex with someone for the first time and they're good at sex, it's because they've done it a lot. And we all know that. And so you do want your partner to be experienced, but you also don't want your partner to be like, oh, this guy Jim I was with, he liked this one thing, so I'm going to try that with you. Like, you don't want you're putting that out of your head. I think that's an important
find it.
part.
I don't think they make it anymore.
I thought Steve was going to go into,
oh my God,
you're
have
dating
limited
their
edition.
representative. And I'm like,
Yeah.
The one I've got's like $1,200 or something like that.
Wow.
It's you've got real adjustable height and it pivot. Like there's 3 arms. So with 3 arms of control, you can do anything.
It's
You
the
can go, like,
CNC machine of sex.
It can go. Yeah, absolutely. It can go flat on the ground and straight up, or it can go like super duper high and go like almost straight down, like anything and everything. And even the length, the thrust can be like super short thrust, like or like real long. And then infinite attachments for it and speed control, just like the Hitachi wand. It plugs into the wall, of course.
How does it get washed?
Well, you've
Dishwasher
got
safe,
you've got attachments, right? That are essentially vacuum lock dildos, and so the machine has this metal thing, and it goes into the back of the dildo, and they lock together, and then you've got to like pop it back off,
Yeah,
and then
but
wash the dildo.
But fluids are not like that controllable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when there start to be fluids involved, there's I mean, I'm sure you've been in a sexual situation where like, oh, well, that got over there, huh? Like, and so there's got to be stuff that's gotten on the machine in other parts of the machine.
Nah, I don't think
No?
so. No, I put condoms on the toys. Like that's my answer to like the whole sharing toys thing. Like you put a condom on there. Like, you know, it's been washed and there's a
Yeah.
condom on it last time it was used and this time it's used. And if you want your own toy, if you're just clickety click, clickety clack, Amazon has plenty.
They send
All
me
right.
more.
I'll put your name on the side with a Sharpie if that's what you want.
I love
Like,
the
I want
idea that,
everybody
like,
to feel comfortable here.
Amazon is like contemplating shutting orders unless it's like medicine or necessary food. And meanwhile, Kyle is like, well, it's been rumored. It's not going to happen. But I mean, like, it's the type of thing where like Trump was like, oh, we're going to close travel to Washington and California. And he said that like 2 weeks ago. And like, I'm just saying that like, it's a thing that someone said and it was going to set up the joke that the idea that like Kyle, meanwhile, is like, but then how do I get my prime dildos?
No, Kyle will say, this is an emergency. These aren't necessary.
You're like,
This is a
medical
wartime commodity.
emergency.
What do I
Like,
have
that's what
wrong
Coca-Cola
about this?
did.
There's a medical emergency. We're playing doctor.
What do I
So
have
move
wrong-
aside. Give me the dildo.
Amazon said they were hiring 100,000 people having to do with Corona. I thought it had to do with them increasing their capability of delivery. Do I have this all wrong?
No,
I
you
think
got it right.
I think part of it. I think it does. What I'm saying is like that was something that someone said that's not going to happen.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is I assume that a lot of their hiring is also because they came under such fire for not sanitizing anything, and like their warehouses were not being sanitized at all. So they need to hire a staff just to do that. Let alone
The virus doesn't live long enough on cardboard to be an issue, even if you got Prime. I'm not
24
worried
Yeah,
about
but
hours,
you have to put stuff.
on cardboard.
But it's not just
Literally on
cardboard.
cardboard,
You're
yeah.
buying things inside the cardboard.
Yeah, but it can live for like 3 days. They say on stainless steel, but lately my Prime has been an extra day. So instead of 2, it's been 3 because of the increased demand. It's pretty crazy how this has affected the whole economy. Let me do an
How
advertisement.
soon till you complained?
Sorry. Let me do an advertisement, and then I have a couple of funny videos. I'll let you guys pick which one.
All right, sounds good.
All right, they're gone. Now it's just us. Let's talk about eugenics. No, I'll tell you guys about Postmates. This episode of PKA is brought to you by a company we have a lot of personal experience with, and that is Postmates. You know what's great about eating your favorite thing? It's your favorite thing, and you're eating it. You know what's not so great? Getting it. And the only fast things that deliver are not what you're craving. Introducing Postmates, the app that adds a delivery option to your favorite restaurant. Imagine anything you want to eat delivered, and you don't have to drive, park, or even talk on the phone to order. Just download the app and order 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Postmates will bring you what you want within the hour. You can even see where your food is and track your driver. Forgot to get eggs or milk? No problem. Craving a tasty burger? Check. Looking for that perfect bottle of red wine or a summer beer? Order up. Postmates is your new long-term Munchies booty call. Woody's not here to chuckle. He does it every week. For a limited time, Postmates is giving you $100 of free delivery credit for your first 7 days. So start your free deliveries right now. Download the app today. Use code PKA. That's code PKA for $100 of free delivery credit for your first 7 days. Save the hassle. Get the food you love fast at Postmates with code PKA. I love Postmates. It's great. Bring you your food. They package it up nice and safely. Bring it to you in these hard times when you don't want to go out and be bumping into lots of people. Good stuff.
What industries? Obviously, delivery is doing great. Grocery is doing great. Toilet paper, hand sanitizer. People who make face masks. Which, by the way, the people who are wearing the face masks so they don't get it. Face masks prevent you from giving it, not from getting it. Yeah. Just a heads up.
Certain ones do. I think it's the N95 medical mask. They'll prevent you from getting it or.
Yes. But the majority of what people are buying, like the standard, put it on your face, like the standard
dust mask
ridged one or whatever
medical thing.
Yeah, exactly. That does not prevent you from getting it at all. And neither does putting a shower cap on or whatever other dumb shit people are doing.
Yeah,
but
I wear a full body condom.
Independently of the disease.
Can't breathe,
but the thing that, oh God, the thing that I'm curious about is like the industries that'll be propped up by this. Because certainly
retailers, Walmart.
So you think that, well, but they're stores. I mean, like the in-person shopping is going away for a while.
So they're flooding that place. You see so many videos of Walmart full. I drove by Walmart the other day. I'm like, I'm like, I could be starving. I'd go kill something. There's no way.
Maybe
I'm going in there.
Walmart's the
For
exception,
now.
but take like Learning Express. You're like a different retail store that sells educational children's toys. I bet they're drying up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's one that's
but-
not. Yeah.
But
there's
online
We'll be going to
classes-
Learning Express this week.
Well, take a
But
bunch.
online
Make it
classes are
Best
killing it.
Buy or heck, most retail stores. People did Starbucks.
Most retail was already getting shit on by Amazon. This is just making it slightly worse in some situations.
I
The
think
grocery
my
stores
pick,
are doing great.
my pick for
Walmart
the
is-
industry that I would invest in the most right now, if that was like a thing where you could just pick an industry, would be online therapy. I think online therapy right now
Invest-
is
It's
gonna
time to
kill it.
invest in oil. It's time to invest in oil. Get in deep and hard, balls deep.
Why?
It's because it's
'Cause-
$20
it's
a
so cheap
fucking
right now?
barrel.
Yeah,
It's
'cause
$20 a fucking
it's
barrel.
gonna bounce
And
back.
summertime is coming, and this virus is going to be over, and Russia and Saudi Arabia aren't going to be price fixing against one another, and it's going to be back to $75 a barrel by fucking August.
how do you invest in oil? Like, is there oil futures? Like, I don't know anything about that shit.
It's a commodity, yeah. You can just
Oil
Yeah,
buy.
just
futures,
go to
or you
commodities
can buy
market.
in mutual funds that specialize in industries too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
invest in oil. It's
What other?
even
what
if it
other
does go down
industries do
more
think are
and you don't get the
gonna-
biggest bite you could have taken, it's going back up to 75 a barrel.
Yeah. What other industries do you think are gonna be propped up by this? Because, like, I mean, digital shit
Entertainment,
for sure.
Entertainment, especially digital entertainment.
Mhm.
Obviously, we're seeing right now Disney is taking a huge hit because several branches of their tree are being wilted. You know, from the cruise line to the amusement parks to even their content. Disney Plus isn't doing quite as well as they thought it was going to be because they don't have a lot of content, and the programming, the future programming that everybody's waiting on for Disney Plus is being slowed way down. The production of those shows. So
By the way,
Disney's
no
taking
one's
a hit
shooting
right now.
anything right now.
Nobody's shooting anything right now, really. I haven't heard about anybody powering through it. I just hear about this is delayed, that's delayed, this delayed, that's delayed.
Or this
Netflix-
guy's
No, I mean,
sick.
I know plenty of people like Danny Jollis. You know, he booked a part that he was all excited to film, and now they might film the same episode next season. I don't want to say what show it is, but like he booked a pretty big part on a show where he could become a regular,
Mhm.
and maybe not now. You know, and there's been a lot of that.
I'm terrible
but
with
I
actors'
think-
names. Is he a comedian, an actor?
Oh, Danny. So he's a guy. I referenced him earlier in the podcast. He's actually one of the comedians that's going to be on the live stream tomorrow. If people want to tune in, but there's a lot of people who lost work, and I'm just curious, like what's going to happen after this? Like, what are the industries that? Because look, the world's not going away. You know, like we've
Not
been
even
through
close.
shit before. Yeah, we've been through shit before. And we went through shit before we had like things to distract us. There was a generation that went through World War I and II. That's and the Depression in between. Like that's fucking insane. And Prohibition. And meanwhile, we're just like, gonna stay home
There's nothing new on Netflix.
with games.
Yeah,
There's.
on the 26th,
I'm gonna get through this next Netflix library in 3 years. So this better wrap up in 3 years.
the new season of what's it called? It's Game of Thrones light. What's that show called? Something Kingdom.
You're not thinking of the Lord of the Rings Amazon thing.
I'll figure this out quickly. Last Kingdom. It's a show that I really enjoyed. Next season of that comes out next month around the 25th, I think, 26th perhaps. That'll be a good one to watch. It's a month away. And we got Tony Ferguson fight. That's gonna happen. That's gonna be big entertainment stuff coming up. So yeah, some industries are being hurt by this, but are clearly going to bounce back, right? For whether it's I think it's too late to get in on any kind of investing with the airlines because there's already been reactionary stuff because Trump's promised to bail them out, give them 50 billion or whatever it is. But oil is just going to keep going low. It's probably going to go lower than now, but it's $20 a barrel right now because nobody's flying, nobody's driving, and Russia and the Saudis are having their little price dispute.
Nobody's cruising, and international shipments are lower.
Perfect.
Nobody's
storm.
participating in oil fights.
There's no war.
Like you guys
there's
ever have
not
a
a
good oil
war
fight?
going on right now of any consequence. This is
Oil
the
wrestling
perfect
is
storm.
down because of the virus. There's a lot of stuff.
I'm not using.
But it's going to go back
WD-40.
up. And I wouldn't be surprised if summer travel has a boost. I wouldn't be surprised if this holiday season is better than last season holiday seasons, more so than inflation or population growth would
I
suggest.
honestly think it's going to take, but I mean, if we're looking at it, might be late summer. Like it's going to be a bit before, because even when we're allowed back out again, there are going to be so many people who are still scared.
Lots of people
And
are putting off their spring vacations right now and their early summer vacations, and those are piling up. Vacation days
And
are
20% of the workforce has no money. So like
they're getting bailed out. They're all getting checks. Everybody's going to get enough money for a vacation, and we're Americans. You think we're going to invest that, pay down our debts? No.
You think we're going to spend that on the rent that we owe or the
Abso-fucking-lutely.
We
mortgage?
need to know the
Absolutely.
details, right? And I don't think the details are knowable yet unless things have changed super recently. But the last time there was a recession, they gave us $600. George W. Bush did it. And the way that they did it is they gave you an advance on your taxes. So if you would have otherwise broke even, you owe $600. If you would have gotten $1,000 back, you get $400 back. It was an advance on your tax bill.
Yeah.
So this time they're talking about giving you $1,000. And I'm telling you, because I was a grown up the last time, they framed it like they gave you money. And many, many people were surprised come April 15th.
That ain't what's happening this time.
Well, I don't know the details. It sounds like you do.
That is not what is happening this time. They are giving you money. They're coming out of pocket for like $700 billion to give you money.
It also will depend on who wins in November, because there are
And by
competing
they, I mean
plans for this.
We're adding to our national debt and putting it in our pockets.
The worst thing to happen to our economy, I believe, was when Bush, not even that, there was one thing where we all just got a $300 when there was extra money in the budget, when like the budget had a surplus for the 1st time, because it was so Bill Clinton brought the budget to a surplus, and then Bush, like early in office, I think it was early on, maybe early 2001 or something, gave everybody $300. I remember getting that check.
I might have called it $600 because I'm married. Maybe you're right. But anyway,
people took $300 out of the economy. Like it was because so many people bought stuff foreign. You know, there are people who saved it. There are people who literally lost some of it. And so even if 10% of that was lost, it was such a bad fucking idea to just hand people $300. Like I think that's a terrible idea. Like you're gonna take that out of circulation.
I think it's gonna flow right back into circulation. I think that it's gonna be a good idea, not a great idea. I don't think it's gonna necessarily prevent a recession, but I think it's gonna flow right back into the economy.
But it'll flow back into other countries' economies. Like how much of the stuff that we buy is from China?
A lot of it is, and you know that's not necessarily a bad thing if China's doing well. I think that everybody's economies are going to flourish in the fall and in the winter.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Kyle is clearly a China sympathizer.
Absolutely.
And that is the whole position on the show.
And the fish are going to pay for it. There's going to be that pollution is going to skyrocket. China is already relaxing what few restrictions they had on like pollution output just to catch back up. That's literally a thing.
Did you see those like satellite pictures?
Yes.
Where suddenly
it got clean. Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, this might be the Earth trying to shake us off of it. Like just the idea of like everybody had to go back inside for 2 months in China, and then suddenly the air pollution wasn't there anymore. I went to have you been over there?
No.
I went to Shanghai, and I was supposed to be there for 2 days, and I left early morning the second day because I couldn't breathe and I had a headache. And it was just one of these things where I'm just like, this is so tough right now. And I can't enjoy anything here because I couldn't breathe. The pollution was horrible.
My parents had the same experience. I think one or both of them got a sore throat from it. And interestingly, it didn't change their opinion on American environmental regulations. They still thought we should move to lighter regulations. They love everything that has to do with deregulation. They passed some sort of dirty air act where you can dump shit in the air in the local rivers, and they're rah, rah, rah. But they didn't like China.
I don't give a fuck.
I've seen LA go
no restrictions.
I've seen LA go from like so much smog when you fly in, you see the top of the buildings gasping for air. to like having these restrictions. Like it's mainly on cars, mainly on the smog from like it's called smogging your car, where basically cars have to pass these emissions tests every couple of years. And it is amazing the difference in the quality of air here. Like I've seen it work. I was in Australia.
Sounds like commie shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You gonna tell me
I was in
what my car needs to smell like?
Yeah.
I need exhaust freedom.
I was in Australia.
Tattoo
in
my
January,
arm next. Keep track of me.
like during like the height of the fires. Which, by the way, we have no idea if they're still burning or not because the news is not covering anything except coronavirus. But I was in Sydney, the worst air quality they had up until that point, and like I took 3 steps out of the airport before I started coughing, and I had one of the N95 masks, and so like I would wear that. But the most amazing thing during that trip was I took the I was walking to the gig and I passed by someone else with the mask, and they take the mask off, and I think they're about to say something to me, and they smoke a cigarette. And it was the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen.
But it was
in
filtered.
my life. It was, yeah, exactly. The cigarette, right?
The
cigarette was
mask
filtered.
needs a cigarette thing for it. The Chinese version would have one. You could just
a little.
like those people who still smoke out of their neck holes.
Yeah.
I have
It
a
was,
relevant.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I have a
I have
relevant
2 videos. Oh, please continue.
Okay.
Well, we were talking about like environment and climate change stuff. So this comes from memory because I heard it on a podcast. Here's the scoop: 3-4 years ago, Hurricane Harvey hit Texas, maybe the Houston area, and Hurricane Harvey was a Class 4 hurricane with 130-mile-an-hour winds. And one of the things that was notable about it is that it didn't just come and smash through like many hurricanes do. It stopped. It went over Texas and it just hung around for a while. So some places got 60 inches of rain. All right. This Houston area is one of the most dense, like chemical and petroleum, like producing places on the planet. So there was a chemical plant there, and they had these chemicals that would explode if they weren't refrigerated. So as the floodwaters rose, these trailers that were refrigerated lost power. So they moved the chemicals to another trailer, and then the waters rose again. They moved them to another trailer and a 4th trailer. There are plant workers, plant foremen, just holding explosive chemicals with their hands as they wade through waist-deep floodwaters in a hurricane to get these potential explosive materials to the highest trailer. And eventually the highest trailer lost power too, and they exploded. And there's like plumes of toxic gases and awful black smoke. They're dumping these chemicals effectively into the water and into the air. And now there's a legal case going on. The people at this plant, including the CEO, the COO, and the plant manager. Plant manager, by the way, was one of the guys who held the explosive chemicals in his arms going through the floodwaters from trailer to trailer. They're suing them criminally and trying to put them in prison. And I don't know where I land on this, but the scoop is that they felt like this was a foreseeable problem and they're criminally negligent for what they've done to the air and to the environment. It is one of the first criminal global warming cases that's been tried so far. And the answer is going to come like this week or next week as to how it works out. But I thought it was super interesting. I guess you're responsible, not based on what you know, but what you could have known, what the like accessible information out there is. This area in Houston had 3 500-year floods in the last couple of years. They're like, this was not a surprise hurricane. This was obvious. It was predictable. Global warming, in spite of what you see on your misinformation news network, is generally accepted science, and they should have seen this coming, and they're criminally negligent. How do we feel about this? That they're going to put these people up to 60 years in jail?
Well, Kavanaugh already voted not to. It hasn't even come to the Supreme Court yet, but I think a lot of this is going to be. I'm kidding.
Oh, okay.
I think a lot of this is going to be decided based on political bias, and based on party lines, because for a judge to make that decision, they have to say climate change is an unavoidable fact. And so it will depend, I think it'll depend on
fact, right? Yeah.
Yeah, indisputable fact. Yeah. It'll depend on what that person believes or what that person is willing to put on record that they believe. And while, I mean, I was kidding around about party lines, but in terms of what you believe on that issue, which seems to have become a partisan issue, even though it shouldn't be, science and politics are two separate things. But I think that's how it's going to be laid down. But the important thing to remember about that moment in Houston is that, the Astros winning the 2017 World Championship was a really big thing for Houston after Hurricane Harvey, and it turns out it was total bullshit. So it's,
True. That's what we should really focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. That I think those guys should have seen it coming, especially if they had access to the signs.
I see the tie-in.
That was a long way. All right, what are the videos, Kyle?
I got it.
All right, so I got two videos. I'll let you guys decide. One lady just has a complete meltdown in a parking lot, and she blames it on her grandmother who's not present. That's all I'll give you. The other guy is he's in an Uber and there's a car accident, and he plays his cards very well.
I would like the guy who's playing his cards well.
That's the one I linked.
I want to learn
scroll
from
up just
him.
above Nate Diaz there. It's the public freak out. Dude doesn't know how to act.
Okay.
Ready. Are you guys? Oh, I need to
wait. I opened it up, and all right, I'm gonna hit play. Oh, so I'll hit play.
Ready, set, play.
We just got in a car accident, nigga.
You right?
You can't say that word.
It's finna get paid. Listen, we finna get paid, girl. Better pay a lot of money. I don't know about you. We finna get paid. You pregnant?
So this was like
Are
an
you
Uber
pregnant?
You pregnant? What?
Yes.
You can't feel your legs? You were too close to the steering wheel.
That's it right there.
Jesus
Can you
Christ.
walk? You feet hurt?
Oh, I can't feel my legs. Paid. I don't know about her.
Look,
He a drunk driver, yo.
my God,
this guy's awesome.
what a ridiculous person.
They popped him.
Yes.
Oh, I can't feel my legs.
He's winking at the camera. This will be used at his trial.
This
It's
will
not
be
going
a
to help
trial.
him.
Your Honor.
This guy's an idiot.
He is not one of my TikTok followers.
What did Nate say here?
Nothing. This is from long ago. This is a Dana White meme. It says, "Corona, you're taking everything I worked for, motherfucker." This is a obvious reference to sporting events being shut down because of the coronavirus. And originally he said Conor, of course, and but this is
Corona. Yeah.
This is a Dana White meme. They need to raise the bar for getting a fucking driver's license in this country. That big time.
I have a theory that not just for getting one, I think the biggest problem, and it's not in this one because she's young, but maintaining one, you cannot take the road test for 50 years.
Yeah.
50 years. And think about the difference in technology in cars between 50 years ago and now. Cars in 1970 versus now.
Every time you update your license, you should have a new test. And at some point, maybe at 65, then that gets halved. Maybe I think it's 7 years you got to get a new license. Now it's 3.5.
But they should change the way that they measure you, right? If you're 17 or 16, hands at 10 and 2. If you're 31, Steve, I see you got good at driving with your knee. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. Be like, now the important part is to drive this car while you drink a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Be like, now can you drive while you eat soup? Can you eat soup and drive? Because I can eat soup and drive. So I'm a road comic.
Yeah, I think they need to really raise those requirements. I think it would help with everybody's like, oh, we need to carpool more. We need
Yeah.
more people need to take public transportation. That's how you achieve it right there. That's how you achieve it right there. You make it harder to get a fucking driver's license.
It's also ridiculous that the test is subjective. I failed a driver's test, even though it's like this thing. If you get 15 points off, then you fail.
Mhm.
And I got 9 points off, but she still failed me. And I was like, why did I fail? And she said, well, when there was a fire truck on the other side of the road, you didn't come to a full stop. And this was, by the way, a divided road. This was like 2 lanes, median 2 lanes.
In North Carolina,
And I was
she'd
like-
be wrong, I think.
Well, I said, in California, technically that's on the books, but I go, did you deduct points when I did that? And she said, yes. And I said, well, then you've already penalized me for it. Why am I failing if you penalize me for that and I didn't get enough points off to fail? And she goes, well, as the instructor, I can fail you. I don't think you're qualified to drive. And I had to take the test again.
What
I'm like, that's bullshit. I think, but I absolutely do think it's very important. The same way that I think that there should be a maximum age you should be president, the same way there's a minimum age.
That's ageism. Only on the
Yeah.
one
So
side.
is a 34-year-old president not being allowed to be president? That's also ageism, and we do that with no problem. And no, but that's what I'm saying. Like the idea is, all right, I'm from New York City, not allowed to drive till you're 18. All right. So I don't know all the rules in other places, but in order to get your driver's license when you're 17, it's this crazy rigmarole of like junior license and permit and all this stuff. And that's even if you get a 17 license. And so the idea that like you can be 17 and a half and not be legally allowed to drive, but you can be 85, no problem. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
You're
I agree.
probably right.
I agree.
You're probably
Take their,
right.
And that is
Take
why
your
I'm running for
licenses away.
Congress this fall.
So you can't
I
get
would
a
love that.
you can't get a driver's license on your 17th birthday in New York. It's hard.
No, in New York, in order to, I mean, I don't know if the laws have changed, but when I was in high school, the way it worked is I think if you got a permit and then a junior license and then your license in a very specific order, you could get your license at 17, but but otherwise it's 18 and up.
In
New York City.
Jersey, I think it's 16 or 16 and a half. You could get a learner's permit. But like you said, it was kind of a rigmarole to go through. But you did it at high school. We had driver's ed in high school. And literally
Yeah,
the
we did
final
not.
exam for that class was the driver's test. Very important. I did well on it. And so like the high school kind of set you up to become a driver at 17.
Yeah.
No, not me.
I remember our driver's ed saved you a ton of money on car insurance. Like if you had completed it and passed it and everything.
Yeah,
No,
we
I
also
didn't,
saved some money.
I didn't get my license till I was 24 because then I moved to LA. So I was,
Ah.
yeah,
So
I
you
was
didn't need it.
I was in New York until then. I didn't need it. And not only did I not need it, but like, even if I had a car, where the fuck was I going to park it?
You
So
lived in
there
the
was,
city.
yeah,
Okay.
I grew up, born and raised in Queens, been living in Manhattan since I was 17. And so I did not need that license. I had no use for it. And not only that, but it's not like I knew anyone with one.
So
Like
you
there
had-
were very few people.
You grew up in the city. I'm curious about this.
Yeah.
What was your level of freedom like throughout your younger years? You know, when you were 13, were you allowed to take taxis by yourself? Like
Well, my parents are Jewish, so none. But no, my level of freedom, actually, I was taking the subway. I mean, taxis, I guess I could have, but it's not like we had the money.
Huh?
So I was taking the subway by myself from the time I was 14. The first time, my parents, for some reason, were more okay with the city bus than the subway. Because I guess the bus, it was harder to keep transferring and going to other places. So I think I started taking the bus by my like I was able to take the bus with my sister when I was like 11, and then I was able to take the subway with my sister when we were like 12. But then I couldn't take it by myself till I was 14.
the bus is pretty safe in Jersey. The people that are on the bus are sketchiest people.
Yes, in Queens, I mean, it's just a way to commute. There's a lot of parts of Queens that aren't connected by subway.
Mhm.
And so it's just another way to commute. You take the bus to if you're in Fresh Meadows or somewhere like that, you take the bus to the subway. But I took like the yellow bus to school because I went to school in Manhattan from the time I was 12. And, and I lived in central Queens. So we didn't have much freedom that way. But once we could take the train ourselves, we could go wherever the fuck we wanted. And then we had a ton of freedom. And actually, I think my friends and I got into less trouble then I hear about people who grew up in the suburbs, and from the time they were 14, they were like drinking in a random park, breaking bottles in a parking lot, like whatever the fuck they were doing because they were bored.
Mm-hmm.
And we started doing like when I was 16 is when people started like smoking and drinking because we had other shit to do. We weren't as bored. We weren't just trying to fill time.
Okay. I was just curious because
I think it's safer.
Like Kyle grew up in a rural area, so he had like ATVs and the ability to go places, but there weren't natural predators
Places
all over
to
these
go.
places. No, I just going.
Yeah, but here's the thing. There are a lot more criminals in the city, but if someone gets you in the country, they're gonna fuck you. Like I think that's the big difference.
Sure.
Like.
Maybe.
I don't know.
We all saw Deliverance, Kyle. Don't deny it.
I just mean
that
I'm way more terrified. I'm way more terrified than a criminal in the country, because if you're in the countryside, no one's going to hear you.
It's like space.
Yeah, exactly.
No
No
one
one can hear you scream.
Let me do the last ad.
Okay.
Tell everyone about Manscaped. This episode of PK is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels. I've cut myself a few times shaving. You got to be careful down there. Those are some embarrassing cuts, and sometimes if you cut yourself, the evening cannot go the way you had planned on it going. You just got to call. You got to call the game off on account of the weather. But I lost my place. That's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineering team spent 18 months perfecting the greatest ball trimmer ever created. And they just released the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0. Their third generation trimmer features a cutting edge ceramic blade to prevent manscaping accidents. Millions of balls are about to be nick-free thanks to Manscaped's advanced skin-safe technology. The battery lasts up to 90 minutes. If it's taking you 90 minutes to trim your balls, good God. And one of the coolest features is the LED light, which illuminates the grooming areas for a closer and more precise shave. They've also upgraded to a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology. Show your mower off loud and proud, because the intelligently designed charging stand is a rapid charging dock powered by USB. If you're listening to me speaking to you right now, you're one of the first people to hear about this life-changing product, and I want you to experience it firsthand. Get 20% off. That's a big deal. And free shipping with code PKA20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com using code PKA20. It really is a good ball trimmer, folks. Try it.
Quiet stroke technology is what I learned to do when I had a roommate in college.
There you go. I was thinking the same. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an important skill.
Yeah.
This is a pretty cool product, actually.
Yeah, they made a trimmer just for your balls, which is not a bad thing, because I have nicked my balls with other trimmers before, and it is rough.
Yeah,
I've just been using these this whole time. Not okay.
And that's oh God. Oh, no scissors down there. No blades.
They named it the lawnmower.
So what about like a kitchen shears? Is that okay? Like the stuff I use to open up packages of raw chicken? Is that all right?
No, probably not. You'll no. Get some.
My ball trimmers are actually gas powered. It takes a while to rev up, but it does the job.
Salmonella. Yeah, you'll be careful down there. That's your most important piece. If you lost your dick, would you want to continue living on? Really? Would you?
Yeah, I think so.
You think so?
Yeah, it's not
yeah,
an
but
easy
you're not
call.
sure.
No, I'm not sure.
It's week 2 of sitting down to piss, and well, I'm gonna eat a bullet.
Can we watch this video? Kenneth Copeland strikes again.
Oh, not again.
Oh, that's the same guy who said he was healing people from coronavirus over the TV.
He healed me. I touched my hand to the screen like this.
And now he doesn't have corona. Yeah. Brilliant. Can we listen to this guy?
Sure.
Queued up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, play.
Fear of this coronavirus is faith in its ability to hurt you or kill you. The fear of what are we going to do? I'm getting laid off at work. Hey, your job's not your source. If it is, you're in trouble.
I hate the way he acts like he knows more.
Jesus is your source. Whatever you do right now, don't you stop tithing. Don't you stop sowing offerings. Well, they won't let us go to church. Well, email it in there, text give or something, but you get your tithe in that church. If you have to go take it down there and drop it off and stick it under
What
the
a
door
piece
or
of
something.
shit.
You
Dude.
get that tithe in that church, you get that offering in that church,
when
and
when
then
he
you
did the
go
thing
home
about healing
and
through
you
the
do
TV,
what
I
we're supposed
had
to do.
retweeted it and I said, I will never understand the evil in some people and the ignorance in others. Like both the ability for him to be a human being and sleep at night saying shit like this, but more so the people who watch that and go, yeah, that sounds right.
I was warned about your kind, but I never knew the true evil that resided in people like you. You people get that tithe in, God damn it. I'm trying to figure out how to email mine in right now.
Don't you stop
yeah.
tithing.
Don't
What
you
you
stop
do-
tithing.
You just email tithe. You just put tithe.com, I think.
Just text money to
Can I just PayPal Keneth
484848
Copeland?
somehow.
Yeah.
Good God, man. Oh, wow. Don't you hate to see that?
Yes.
There are a lot of people out there who
fuck. Evil
you know who this is
cult
most
leader.
effective on too. It's
Old people.
It's old people who are deathly afraid of this thing. They're
Yeah.
like, honey, we better get our tithe in. He's right.
Gullibility is an
My-
age-related disease. Kyle, I've been stricken
that's again
myself.
president age ceiling president. But I had a buddy I was touring with whose grandmother fell victim to one of those like my grandson is kidnapped and I have to drop this money off at a Western Union immediately
awesome.
things. While we were on the road together, she called him and was like, "Oh, thank God you're safe." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And then like it came out and yeah.
Why
and I
wasn't
think it
he
was
the
like
first
10
call?
grand or something? Well, that's the thing because
What's her name and
they say if you try to call him, we'll kill him. Like they say that kind of thing. And so like once they say, okay, he's safe now, it's like that type of thing where she's like, well, I wanted to call him. There was a story actually. There was an Uber driver who saved like an old lady from going through that, where she wanted him to take her to the bank, and he like could tell she was nervous or whatever, and they were chit-chatting a little bit, and she told him kind of what was going on, and he was like, "This isn't real, miss. We should go to the police." And she was like freaking out, and he convinced her to go to the police, and then they were able to prevent her from being taken.
I got to get into this game. If they're
Jesus,
really
that's
that
Kyle's
gullible, now's
takeaway.
the time to strike. Strike while the iron is hot.
Right,
Here's
while the
what you
pandemic
do.
is
You
spreading.
find a list of people getting tested for corona. Odds are most of them are old. And that's how you find.
I bet the churches
or
have all
members of the
mailing
Utah
lists.
Jazz.
Yeah. Oh my God. Rudy Gobert. What a fucking idiot.
I forgive him. He was
No,
an
the
idiot at
reason
a
he's an
time
idiot-
when many people underestimated it.
Yeah, but the idea of like 2 days later, like that was a very, Curb Your Enthusiasm
Yes.
comes on.
It was.
Like the idea, and look, we all made jokes about it. Absolutely, I tweeted a couple of jokes about it, but they were never like, "But I'm going to touch all the microphones because everything's fine." Jokes like that was a very, like the only reason you do that is you go, "This virus doesn't exist." Like you can say this virus isn't a big deal.
What if he believed
But he was doing it.
It was a Democratic hoax, as it was being said.
Right, that's what
by
I mean.
Our leadership, and yeah,
Exactly.
Like, half the nation follows that.
Right, and it's fucking stupid. And yeah, the idea that like it's a Democratic hoax, be like, well, then why do a lot of the people who are getting it are Republican? Because that's what they want you to think. Like, there's a lot of that's what they want you to think. Just fucking think for yourself.
Yeah.
Like science isn't out to get
Well, I
you.
think, look, PayPal me $100 with your name and a photograph of you nude, and I will bless your body with my blessing, and I will send you.
All right, I'm only 13, but I'll get started.
Yeah, I
Well,
guess.
of course, all packages go by care of Woody's Gamer Tag. As
Do not
everyone
mail
knows.
Kyle anything
Yeah.
that ends badly.
You want to get something to me? That man handles it for you. All right?
Steve
He
doesn't
is the
know, but
middle
that doesn't
man.
work.
Yeah.
It's funny because
The,
Woody burns people's packages when they send them to him. It's hilarious.
I felt like
Oh,
an
really?
errand boy. Yeah, like, hey, Woody, this is actually for someone I like more than you, but could you handle the rest of the mailing for me?
Here's what happened.
Oh,
Here's what
someone
happened.
sent you.
Someone wanted to get this. Taylor is a very big, I believe it was Lord of the Rings. I think that may have been the thing. Could be wrong. He's a big
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings fan. Huge. I am too, but I've never read the Silmarillion. I've read the books. In any case, he's read everything. They didn't know how to get to Taylor, but Woody, because of a lot of things, he's filmed his house and his roads and his streets, and he's when he bought his new house, he talked about it a lot, so it was very easy to discover where he lives.
So
And that's
creepy,
public.
horrible people can
Dox
can
me.
It's sort of-
stalk you.
It's sort of public knowledge at this point, and so people know where Woody lives. So they sent Woody this package that was like to send on to Taylor of this really nice book, like $50-$60, and Woody burnt it in a fire pit.
Oh my god.
Never sent me another package. It worked, and I filmed it,
I mean,
and I put it on my YouTube
that's a good
channel.
way to do it. Now, Kyle, if you had burned the package that you were sent, I think that would have been a problem.
I was gonna. If they gave me 20 more minutes, I'd have been roasting that shit up.
That's a good
I
line.
get sometimes I get like people will bring gifts at shows, and they're very sweet, but like I will never, if it's like home cooked food or anything, it's like absolutely not.
No.
Like there's no way. And you know what? I bet it'll be fine, but at the same time, I'm not willing to chance it. What I'll do is I'll say to like the comedy club staff, I'll be like, hey, look, I have no idea what's in these. A fan brought them, up to you. And then like most of them will eat whatever cookies or whatever it is. Because also they want to get high. They're desperate to get high. They're comedy club staff. But they're hoping those cookies have something in them. And then sometimes people bring me stuff that's just like, hey, I'm flying home. What am I supposed to do with this thing? Like where they'll just bring me something like someone, it was super nice. But I was joking around on social media about how like when I really started drinking a lot of coffee and how I was like, oh, I'm trying to like, I'm drinking a ton of coffee, like I need a giant coffee mug. And someone brought me like one of these fucking trucker things, like the 48-ounce like thermo thing. And I was like, this is hilarious. And thank you. I'm flying home with a carry-on. No, like I can't. And you just have to take it and say thank you and then leave it somewhere. Like leave it in a hotel for somebody. I don't know.
Now you
But I
can't
don't
drink
burn
coffee
it.
by the barrel.
I always
Fucking
mailed
burn
it.
Oh, I'm
like
sorry. Yeah,
whenever-
yours is way different than mine. Yeah.
Well, yours was spiteful.
I put mine in a
Mine-
landfill. I would never
I gave-
disrespect it.
No, I gave them the joy of like they brought it because they wanted to see me happy when they gave it to me, and I am a marginal actor, so I was as happy as I could be. And then afterward, I was like, I guess I can't keep this. I don't know where to, and I just like left it.
I would get given
somebody
tons of stuff on trips a lot of the times. So we would just print out a shipping label, and most hotels have like a mail pickup every morning. And you just take the box of stuff and say, hey, can you have them take this with them? And it's done.
Yeah,
It
but
ends
what
up-
am I going to do with a 48-ounce? That like, I mean, that's
Put it
still
on
something.
eBay.
Even if I
That's-
shipped it home.
That seems like the sort of thing you do.
Yeah, get that $7. Oh, you
Jesus.
son of a bitch.
That's
$7.
I
a lot
call
of
it-
shekels, my friend.
Hey, you keep talking to me like that, I'm gonna mail you something.
I wish. Oh, God,
Yeah.
I wish.
We have such power over Kyle.
I don't wish.
Like,
I don't wish. I don't wish. Don't say things.
All we have to do is mail him some. I'm in California. That shit's everywhere.
Kyle's address
So-
is hard
I
to
know it
figure
is.
out.
Send me nothing.
Yeah.
Send me nothing.
Well, it was fun, guys.
Yeah, like, I don't-
Send me nothing.
well, anyway, Kenneth Copeland's piece of shit taking advantage of.
Yeah. Well,
cult
that's how all
members.
those guys are. That's how all those guys are. I just not a big fan of religion. Any religion.
Especially mine.
Yours is one of the better ones, honestly. I don't know. I don't think you practice or anything, but Judaism seems like one
Did
of
you hear that, Woody? We're one of the good ones.
I've heard that. That's
I'm one of the good
one
ones.
of the better ones. I didn't say you're good.
All right, we're not good. We're just
Say you're
less
good.
bad.
The Pope had some good ideas about y'all folks back in the day. And but yeah, most religions are just fucking awful. Let's rank our most hated religions. Let's do that real quick.
I'm not going to do that.
I don't think I know my
I'll
religion.
tell you what you do. No, even better. Draw the deity of the religion you hate the most.
They all look like stick figures when I do that.
That's okay. Just put the name underneath.
Yeah. All of them will just be.
Oh, wait.
I'll just. It's just a blank piece of paper.
Yeah.
Just be like, oh look, this is your conception
I
of
think
God.
I just figured out Kyle wants us to draw Muhammad, which I guess is bad.
Oh yeah, they'll blow you.
They get really
good
upset
catch,
over
Woody.
it. I don't understand why. Yeah, I'm sharp as a marble. I don't understand why that's so frustrating or anger intensifying.
Because it's forbidden to depict the image of
It's the same. It's the same reason why is it forbidden? Why do Jewish people write G-D as if that somehow tricks the idea of like, well, that's not God's name. It's like, well, neither is God because it's in English and that wasn't the fucking language you used. And there's no difference between using a different representation of it. If you're talking about what language represents, G-D is the same thing as God.
It's Yahweh or
superstition.
Allah.
It's all superstition.
So it's bad to write,
and it's what makes them comfortable.
In Judaism?
Yeah, you're not supposed to take the Lord's name in vain, and so religious Jewish people do not write God; they write G-D.
So they're
because
saying
you're not supposed
God
to write
damn.
out the full name.
No?
No. They're saying God, but dashing the O instead. It's
Maybe
like
I don't understand Lord's name in vain. Can you lay this out for me? I was
no
you're
way
not
that you'll
supposed to
understand.
say- you're not supposed to say the Lord's name outside of prayer.
Oh.
That's what taking the Lord's name in vain is.
Oh, I
Basically, if you are praying directly to the Lord, you are allowed to say the Lord's name, but you are not allowed to say the Lord's name in a
He doesn't want spam
in another
calls.
situation. Yeah, exactly.
What spam call?
Yeah, he doesn't want. He'd be like, "Oh God,
That's a good line.
Steve, again, we talked already today." By the way, this is one in these times of coronavirus and apocalypse and stuff. It has been very interesting to me to see the horrific, insensitive nature of some people. Where like
Welcome to
someone
the show.
messaged me, someone messaged me because I used to own a comedy club in Ohio, and they messaged me on Instagram. And, we sold it years ago, but they messaged me thinking I was still the owner and saying like, hey, have you guys thought about having like a comedy club app where like, patrons could come? And I'd be like, every comedy club is closed and most of them are going out of business right now. Like, are you fucking stupid? Like, how do you not know this? Someone asked me today if they could, someone's like, hey, I know this show is canceled, but in case you uncancel it, can I open for you? Like there's like it's not slowing opportunists whatsoever. It's not. There's someone messaged me on LinkedIn, like an unsolicited, like business to business type of thing. And I just wrote back and I said, are you familiar with the phrase war profiteer? And they replied and said, no. And so then I said, it should be on your business card. Like
That's a good line.
Thank you. We should be like, we need, and look, I know everybody is trying to make a buck right now. You're still trying to make a living, and businesses closing down hurts that a lot for other people. But at the same time, like, know who the fuck you're talking to, and like take a minute to think about what other people are going through before you hit them up for money.
You think comedy clubs are going out of business? They can't shut the doors for a month or two and stay in business?
The margins, look, I've owned 4 of them. The
Right.
margins are so razor thin that like we could not have afforded to. Chris Bowers, who owned some of them with me, he used to joke that he because he sees businesses all the time going into business, be like, oh, I wish we could afford to just close. Because like at a certain point, you owe so many people money that like you can't afford to just close. You have to figure out a way out of it. You have to sell to make just enough to get out of your bills. It's a very tough industry. Like live event, if you're not Live Nation, if you're not the Improv, like it is razor thin margins. And that's true with restaurants as well. Like F&B, you're talking about eking by. I mean, most restaurants close anyway. And so when you lose 2 months of business, that's a lot of business. And especially because like the summer is the toughest time for comedy clubs, with the exception of if you're in a vacation spot, which, maybe 10 clubs are. The summer is when people stop going because they do outdoor activities. And so if you're going to try to recover and then suddenly, we start recovering in May or June, you're fucked. I think a lot of clubs are going to be going out of business.
That makes sense. I'm glad you said that. It opened my eyes a bit. I have more experience in big companies like Cisco, the networking company I work for. I don't know what they have in cash. Something like 40 billion, 60 billion. They're fine till May. They'll be all right. So I almost thought like, I guess a lot of businesses have the cash set aside to make it for a couple of months, but not all.
Not small retail, you're going to see so many things go out of business.
Something like 4 out of 5 restaurants fail, like you said, without pandemics. So, yeah. I imagine it's going to be rough.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I mean, you take that sweet, sweet podcast money, buy up a couple restaurants when this is all over. You'll be in good shape, man.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine.
Take that sweet podcast money
you're not going to
turn
open
it into
Woody's.
A very smaller amount of money because they all fail.
Yeah, just open Woody's. It's a series of Cheers themed bars.
This is a money loser. Tell me more.
Yeah, if you, I think if you, and look, it's true. Anytime there's a downturn in the economy, if you are one of the people who get out of it with money, you're going to be in good shape because if you can invest when things are low, you'll be fine. And I mean, hell, when talk about margins, when I think of like where my career was just 2 years ago versus where it is now. Like right now, I'm okay. 2 years ago, I'd have been terrified. And like, I don't know what I would have done. And so like right now, I'm busy trying to help other comedians. Like when I do the live streams, I'm not taking $1. Everything I make on those live streams, I'm giving to other comedians who are out of work. When I think about where I would have been 2 years ago, I can't file for unemployment. That's not how freelance works. And so like I don't even know what I would have done.
I would get a cookout. If you wanted to get involved with a restaurant, it's cookout. That is the most successful franchise I've ever seen. When one of those pops into a town, lines around the block, everybody's blown the fuck away. They can't believe how amazing it is and all the cool shit they have. It's delicious. It's amazing. The franchise fee is $35,000. Startup costs vary somewhere between $300,000 and $600,000, and you have to have a cash liquidity of about $200,000, a net worth of $400,000. It's doable, and they are so successful. Everyone
you lost me after the franchise fee. After the franchise fee, I was like, sorry, man.
$35,000 is super low. I wonder if you own the restaurant.
Do you get to choose? It's like that Mitch Hedberg joke. Do you get to choose which promotions you participate in?
That's super duper low. Like I'm sorry, Steve. I'm
that's fine.
Talking without doing any listening.
They're often a quarter.
It's not a good podcast attribute. But like Chick-fil-A, for example, you don't own Chick-fil-A. People think Chick-fil-A is this great business to own. They're very profitable. The lines go around the corner. But you are not a Chick-fil-A owner. You're a Chick-fil-A operator. You buy the thing. It's cheaper than most. But you don't own it afterwards. When you buy a Subway or a McDonald's or a Wendy's, you own that restaurant. At Chick-fil-A, you're buying a job. You're buying the opportunity to run that location. And then you can't sell it to somebody else. It's not yours. You just bought yourself a good job. The fact that the cookout is so low, like I wonder how their franchises really work.
Mitch Hedberg has a joke about how how they say participation may vary. And he wants to open up a McDonald's and not participate in shit. And just the idea, we only serve spaghetti. Like it's a great, I love that bit. I love the idea of doing that.
So today, 51 Republican senators voted against paid sick leave. And before talking to Steve, I thought those evil fucks, right? Like, why? Everyone needs sick leave so much right now. And it's like, oh, maybe the why is because everyone who owns any of these businesses will go under immediately. Like, oh, if I have to pay all these people who aren't working, then just close the doors.
Yeah, it needs to be, that needs to be like government subsidized. It is amazing though that like all these people who are just like libertarian, get the government out of my business. And then this happens. They're like, hello, government. Why aren't you picking up the phone?
Yes.
Government, it's me.
$1,000, please. I want $1,000. Yeah. Like I saw a joke on Reddit today. Like, how much does it cost to turn a Republican into a socialist? $1,000.
That's hilarious. And just the idea, like Andrew Yang must be sitting there, be like, but you guys made fun of me.
Yeah. Yep.
That's right, pussy boy.
But also without Yang. Without Yang, it's possible that this kind of thing would not be in the public conscious. Like the idea of, of handing people $1,000 might not be, which by the way, still, I'm not for. I am very much for workfare and not welfare. But I do think that certain, maybe some living expenses can be covered or something like that. But giving someone cash to me makes no sense because people fritter away cash. People spend cash in ridiculous ways.
I think credits would be interesting rather than cash. Credits, like to spend on specific sectors.
Like food stamps?
Like food stamps, but without the like food stamps. But
like it would, food stamps, but for clothes, like clothes stamps.
It would be like a debit card that would only work for certain things. And then there'd become a black market of people buying those debit cards at a reduced cost for cash, so that the people with the debit cards could go get drugs and alcohol.
Yeah, eventually.
I've immediately changed my mind about my plan.
Greg Giraldo has that great bit about the idea of like, oh, he's just going to spend it on booze, and like, can you blame him? Like, look at his life. Can you blame him? And but the thing that a lot of people will do irresponsibly is they go, hey, we just got $1,000. We can finally take that vacation we've been wanting.
That's what they're going to do. That's what I said at the beginning of the show. That's what they're going to do.
But what I'm saying is that they might take that vacation and go to Mexico or Thailand. Oh, this is fuck. I should have thought of it. They're all going to take the vacation to Mexico. Mexico's economy will get great. They won't want us coming over anymore. They'll pay for the wall. Holy shit. It's
they'll build
chess.
They'll build the wall on Mexican land. Right?
It's 10D chess. Yeah. They don't want the disease coming over.
Maybe 11.
Yeah. I think actually the best thing that they did in terms of trying to curb immigration is line the border with some of the shittiest states. Brilliant move. Arizona? Come on.
How dare you? How dare you? American Southwest is a gem.
Which state are you standing up for right now?
Turquoise.
Is it Texas?
Dry heat.
New Mexico.
Dude, I went to. Was I on the show after I did the Texas tour? I don't remember if I was there. If I was on last, after, or before.
I don't remember.
But I did. Did I tell you the story about Laredo?
I don't remember.
We did a show. We did a show in Laredo, and our hotel was on the border, like outside my window. Like you could see the human rights violations outside my window. It was the tents were just below. Like we had a balcony that we could overlook the tents. It was crazy. And so a couple things. One, I looked that up because I was like, oh my God, are those the like separating families tents? Those are the courthouse tents. So Laredo only has the courthouses, but the city of Laredo offered the US government a very nice building for a $1 lease for 100 years. And they said no, because they want the fucking tents because they're scary.
Yeah, I like that.
And so
it's
it's theater. The other thing is my buddy Radu that opened for me, Radu Bondar. He's Romanian. He grew up in Romania, and he wanted to go over to Nuevo Laredo, and people were like, it's dangerous, you shouldn't go. He's like, look, I'm from the ship, okay? I've seen way worse. Like, I'm from Romania. I'll be fine. And he's talking to some guy at a bar, and the guy takes a puff on a cigarette, doesn't even look at him, looks like through him, and just goes, the way they will kill you is so horrific. And Radu was just like, all right, never mind. I'm fine.
You will find out what your testicles taste like.
Yeah. I asked someone, because I was curious too, and because we could walk over, and I was curious, and I asked someone who worked at the hotel, and I was like, hey, is it, are they making it up? Is it as dangerous as they say? And she's like, you don't want to go there. And I was like, but what about during the day? I'm sure it'll be fine. She goes, you don't want to go there. And she's like, I have family there. And I was like, do you not see them? And she goes, no, I live there. You don't want to go there. I was like, oh, fuck. All right, fair enough.
It's easier for them to find you in the daytime, senor.
Yeah.
I had the same feeling.
Go at night so you can hide.
It's almost
and by the way, it's not like it's all Mexico. It's just the border towns are fucking rough.
I know.
Are they really rough? Like if I went there, would something happen? I know, but like I think Steve also shares this disbelief with me. Like, surely you can exist in these.
I didn't think that, but apparently in some of these border cities, and not all of them, but in some of them, and Nuevo Laredo is one of them, the police force is just gone. It is absolutely run by the cartels. And so if you drive over, walking over is the safest thing you can do, because if you drive over, they will lock your car in. Like 2 people drive up on the side of you, 2 people drive up in front and behind you, and you're done. And so
They do what?
there's steal your car and possibly you. There's
They make
it's
you.
just complete. It's just completely run. Like those towns don't have a police presence. Have you ever been to Camden, New Jersey? It's very similar.
Many times. Yeah.
So it's
That's where I was born.
You were born in Camden?
Yep.
Oh my God, local boy makes good. And so like it's something where you're not guaranteed to be assaulted. You're not guaranteed to be mugged, but the odds are pretty fucking high. The odds are like an 85-year-old getting coronavirus high. Like it is rough. And I didn't know any of this because I thought it was all hyped up. And then I did a lot of research when I was going to go over there. And not only was I there, but I was also, because we did a whole tour. We were in El Paso, which is also a border town right on the other side of Juarez. And then I was in, what was the other one I was in? Yuma, which is bordered. I forget what the Mexican city is on the other side. But these are all border towns, and like I looked up all the stats, and not only that, I was on when I was in one of them, I was on Tinder, and I matched with someone on the other side of the border, and she was going to come over to see the show. She's going to come over to see the show, and she's like, I can't, and I was like, why? And she goes, because and whatever the word is, I looked it up. It basically means like SUVs or whatever are out, which means like that's the criminals driving around, and it's not safe to go out of your house.
Yeah, I thought you were
shit,
going to
man.
say that she wanted you to come to her, and I'm like, I bet that's a thing that happens. That there's like,
I'm sure that's a thing that happens.
Like dudes over to come over the border, and then just like, well, we have you now, senor.
Yeah. Oh,
Cash or
absolutely.
check. I people have made fun of me before for saying that. It's like, it seems pretty dangerous down there. I don't think I'd want to go. I don't think I want to go. Increased risk. I'm not saying they snatch up every American because people are like, I went, it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
yeah,
okay, all right. I'm not going though, because I'm sure a lot of people go and they're kidnapped or they're dismembered or they.
There are also people who do handstands on skyscrapers and they're fine. And then there are some people who fell off the fucking building, and I'm not willing to up my odds. There's no reason.
Yeah, an unnecessary risk. Look, there's nothing so nice in Mexico worth that risk. Okay.
Well, one of the things I said to Radu, and I have this made it to a video where I was like, I don't think we should go. And he's like, why not? And I said, because this is what the American side looks like. Like, have you seen this place? I do think that, and it is weird, like Laredo, especially, I've never felt more like I was not in America while in America than in Laredo. Like Laredo may as well have been in Mexico. There was very little English spoken there. There were very, very few signs. And I mean, the couple blocks that are right by the border. You get 5 miles north and you start going to the malls and shit. It's completely different. But I mean, like there's like this 2 or 3 block section of like Mercado that's basically right on the U.S. side of the border that does not look like America at all. It's a fascinating place. And by the way, the people there couldn't have been nicer. It was one of the best hospitalities we got anywhere we went. And there are plenty of places in Mexico that are perfectly safe right now, but the border ain't one of them.
Yeah, I think I've been within 30 miles, 40 miles. That's about as close as I've gotten. We were out on a ranch that was about 30 miles, I think. I want to say that was the number, 20, 30, 40 miles, somewhere in there from the border. That's as close as I've been.
No, man.
Nice
you haven't been to
El
Mexico?
Paso's,
Desolate.
What?
I asked Kyle, you haven't been to Mexico?
No.
I drove to Mexico, but
I've been twice.
It was a long time ago, so things may be different.
Yeah, I've been twice. Both were in like kind of resorty areas, so it's not the same.
What's the Mexican place right by San Diego?
Tijuana.
That's where I went. Tijuana.
Yeah. And that's not safe now, but oddly enough, Tijuana is one of the safer border towns. Juarez is better than it was, but that doesn't mean it's good. El Paso is very different because El Paso is an enormous city. I think it's like the 5th most populous in Texas, and so that's very different because Juarez is right next to El Paso, but at the same time, but like if you go to a smaller one, like, and that's why Laredo is so interesting because Laredo is a pretty small city. And so it is mainly just a border town. It's not like it's, I mean, El Paso has like a huge college and fucking tons of sporting events and big concerts and shit. And that's not Laredo. It's crazy.
I have paramotor friends that live near the border, and they fly over it all the time like it's nothing. I'm like, I don't think you can do that.
Like which part of the border? That's not legal. That's not legal at all. But
they theoretically fly over it all the time.
Yeah, but there's
We
also
would like their name, senor.
Yeah. There's also there's also that huge stretch of border. It's so funny when people are like, build that wall. There's that huge stretch of border. We drove next to it for a while where it's like, no one's walking over this. What the fuck wall are you going to build through these mountains, man?
Is it that hard to walk over?
There are sections of the border where it's just mountains and desert. And like, if you can get through that, motherfucker, I want you as part of my country. If you are tough enough to get through that part, absolutely, you are tough enoh to be one of us.
It should be
like that is.
There should be an opening that we call the gauntlet as a way to earn your citizenship.
That is the path to citizenship.
Exactly. It's based on athletic ability only. Mountain climbing.
Yeah.
And some assholes with paramotors do it easily.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's the steroids of that.
Hey.
Yeah, I sorry, go ahead.
No, it's funny you mentioned steroids right before I asked you. You've gotten fit. How'd you do that?
I have. I haven't been in a bit, which is frustrating because you can't go to the gym now, and like I only have so much at home. But I started a couple of years ago. I actually have this system that if anybody wants to get fit, this is a wonderful system. It's like a friend of mine taught me this, and I kind of modified it to make it work for me. But it's gamification. And so I used to think the gym was shit because I thought it was you go there and you have to bust your ass for an hour, and that's absolutely not true. You have to do a series of exercises. Once you get them done, fucking leave, and that's fine. But the real key for me is that, like, so whatever the exercise is, say it's dumbbell curl or something.
Okay.
And like when I started, my peak weight on dumbbell curl was 25, and now it's 55. And the reason for that is what I do is I do 4 sets. I do 8 sets of the most I can do, drop down a weight and do 10 sets, drop down a weight, do 12 sets, drop down a weight, and then do 20 reps, not sets, 20 reps of half the first one, whatever that was. So if I start at 25, my 20 rep is 12 and a half. But the key is if I do those things correctly and easily twice in a row, then I have to move up weight the next time I try. And so what I do is I give myself, it's a red, green, and yellow, like a traffic light. If you can't get through that exercise, it's a red. If you can, but it's a struggle, it's a yellow. And if you can with relative ease, it's a green. If you do 2 greens in a row, you do it until you do 2 greens in a row, and then you have to move up weight. And from that system, I mean, I transformed, no exaggeration, transformed in 3 months. Like it's insane.
Hire a
it's
trainer?
so easy. Not at all. My buddy taught me this thing, and he showed me a couple exercises. I have 3 different days. I started out 6 days a week. I can't do that anymore with my schedule. Mm-hmm. So now I try to do 3 days a week. But I do a day of back and bi, a day of chest and tri, and a day of leg and shoulders. And I have 5 exercises for each one. And when you finish the 5, you leave. And sometimes it takes me 25 minutes. Sometimes it takes me an hour. Just depends on how quick I can get through it that day. And if I moved up in weight. And I was a scrawny motherfucker when I was, just a couple years ago, I was here. You know what? I'll find the picture. I'll show it to you guys. It's insane. And it was like, it's just my friend taught me. And the thing is like everybody has to find their own system that works for them, whatever that is.
Yeah. I started working out.
Let me see if
Nice. Yeah. You can see that. Yeah. Very cool. I started working out about 2 years ago, and I've been doing my best to stay consistent on it. I get injured because I'm old and I'm stupid, but that's usually what breaks my flow until I get back. I did a video a few days ago. It was like I did this like how to get rich in 22 years, and it basically just teaches compound interest and dollar cost averaging. Your people know this.
Yeah, comedians.
Yes. And I saw like my sort of like traps and shoulders compared to the video I made 6 years back. And I was like, actually better. You know, like
yeah.
Go me. I did like mentally, I don't like recognize any change at all. But I was like, I should watch this old one to see what's up. So I saw like video be back to back, and I'm like, yeah, good Woody. Go Oh, you.
Oh, you could recognize change so quickly, and I forever I was like, oh, I can't do it. I don't have the physique for it. Too bad. I just wasn't born with the physique for it. And like, no, I was lazy. I was a lazy motherfucker, and so I didn't go. By the way, what a great time to encourage people to get out there and hit the gym.
Yes.
But I make sure to not wipe down the machine. But I really do think I got a set of those Bowflex dumbbells that you could like change the weight on them.
Mm-hmm.
So you have like one set of them and it changes the weight. And I got a bench at home. The dumbbells were expensive, but the bench was like $50. And like that's all I have right now, and it's killing me because I'm much better with the machines and the free weights. But at the same time, like it does, I mean, being scrawny was such a part of my identity, and it's just something I accepted. And like, it's easy. And I used to think that people who talked about working out were such assholes. Then I realized like, no, they're trying to help us. Like they're going, hey, I saw the change in me, and I would like that for other people. I mean, some of them are still assholes, but not all of them.
Yeah, I agree with that. Anyway, congrats.
Thanks. Do you go to the gym?
I have a gym. I have a home gym.
Yeah.
So I bought a power rack, and I have my dumbbells stop at 55. That's all I need. And that. But I think I like the calisthenics more. People say, I guess I saw Jocko. Do you know him? This ex-Navy SEAL guy is pretty popular in podcasts.
Oh yeah.
He was talking about whether he prefers calisthenics or free weights, and his answer was he likes both. I guess that's his thing. My answer is whichever one motivates you more. Like I used to sell bicycles and exercise equipment at the store, and I was a teenager at the time. And people would say, like, should I get a stationary bike or should I get a Bowflex? And I was like, you should get the one you like, the one that you'll use. All of these machines are good if you use them, and they all suck if you don't.
Yeah.
And that's where like calisthenics are more fun for me. Like that, if I learn a new body movement, I get a little stronger, I can hold something a little longer. That has been more satisfying between my ears than say adding 5 more pounds or 10 more pounds to my bench press. So
it is whatever works for you. Yeah. And I would say that the thing I like the most about it is that like I'm not scared anymore.
Really?
Yeah. I think like just the idea of, well, I mean, look, I have had
getting wrestled.
The bad man?
I have had people mouth off to me at shows and had like, look, I do some fairly combative comedy sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And like, there was always an element of like, well, this audience better help me if shit pops off. And that's still true. But at the same time, like there is, I think the thing I like most about it is the quiet confidence of like, if someone on social media is an asshole and is like, oh, this pussy motherfucker, I can just smile and know that I'm twice that person's size.
No, you need a gun.
Like
I want to see a comedian. I want to see a comedian with a gun on stage.
That's a shortcut.
Yeah.
What you do is you start out and you just be like, oh, let me just do some of these. You know what? Give me a second. And you just put it on the stool and don't address it. And then just do your set.
Just wear it. Just wear it like a cowboy and just don't even mention it. Don't even mention it. Yeah. Maybe throw some spurs in too. Come out with that wide stance, like like real wide, hipped and your arms out to the side. Just
I feel like you're really getting into this character. Yeah.
So if you can tell,
I just think it's nice. It's nice for people to have for people to have confidence and and so much, especially I'm 40 years old, so it's especially for for anyone listening who's like who's on the the getting older side, and anyone my side of 30 who hasn't started doing this yet, fucking start doing it. You'll see a change in a couple of months. It's remarkable. But maybe start in like a month or two when gyms are open again.
California governor issues a statewide stay-at-home order to residents there tonight due to the coronavirus pandemic, telling them only to leave their houses when absolutely necessary.
Is that 100% like you have to, or a request?
Well,
I interpret it as absolutely necessary, as up to the reader, but
it says California right now. Hold on, it's trending on Facebook.
California.
Mandatory stay-at-home order.
Hell, your thing didn't mention
for how long? Oh shit.
I just read it as it was.
Yeah, I'm reading this on Twitter.
I thought there was
hey guys, I gotta go and figure this out.
Really? Oh, you're not home right now?
No, I'm home, but I gotta like figure out, make sure everybody else I care about is as well, and exactly when this kicks in and etc.
Well, I'll tell you what they're not going to do. Maybe logically think this out. They're not going to round up everybody who's out and take them to one area. You know what I mean? They're going to be like, hey.
There's only
what are you
13
doing?
minutes left in the show. Do you need to leave early?
No, I guess I could. I'm fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, we live in interesting times. I really like that theory that we have branched off from our like our prime timeline. Kind of like the DC universe has like their main universe. I can't remember which world it is. They number them like these 3-digit numbers. Like it's like Earth 626 or something.
Okay.
But then there are all these other universes where things are wacky. There's a universe where everybody is a werewolf. Everybody. And there's all these wackadoo universes where things are slightly different or completely different.
Little known side effect of the coronavirus. Everyone becomes a werewolf. Yeah.
God, I wish. And but yeah, I think like with the Donald Trump thing, and we are in a rare slice, I think, of that. Like there aren't too many other universes where everything that's happened here also happened, except except now we're all left-handed instead of right-handed. You know what I mean? Like where the difference is minor, but all the other big stuff happened. It's just we're in a very rare universe. I believe. I do believe in multiple universes.
By the way, I looked it up, and like you're still allowed to go out and eat, go to the bank, go to the gas station, stuff like that.
I assume
so.
It's
much. Just yeah.
It's not a curfew per se. Or like
which is funny because like today, I'm really glad I did this today. I drove to like a park because I was like, I can go to a park by myself and just like get the fuck out of the house. And I went to Franklin Canyon, which is like a really nice like reservoir thing, like a wooded area, and like could walk around by myself.
Did you feel
I was like, that's
like
a way
you
to
were
do this?
breaking a rule a little bit, like you weren't supposed to be out there, or is that just me?
A little bit? But I think that like knowing that I wasn't touching anything, that I was, people I walked by, normally I would not say hi to anybody, but I'm a lot more polite during this thing because I'm just like, hey, this is, we're all in this together kind of thing. And so like if someone walked by me on the path, we would like, walk far apart from each other, just say hello, and keep walking.
Yeah. I don't know. Somehow I feel like there's killer bees out there, that I'm supposed to be in here playing Escape from Tarkov.
Yeah. I mean, that's important. I will say flights to Italy are super cheap right now, though. So if you want to plan a vacation,
hell yeah,
I was going to go to Italy this month.
Yeah,
well,
just see the world,
I was going to go to Spain in July.
That sounds like a wild place. I want the bat soup.
I gotta say, by the way, so the last show I did, and like, God help me if I can't do another show for another couple months, because the last live show I did, I came back from the tour and the tour was great. And then last Tuesday, I had a show at this, it was like a charity show at this cancer center. And usually it's pretty full. It seats about 50 people and like they come out. It's a very nice show for the residents, except because people were already scared, a lot of people weren't coming out because it was already at the point where like they're the most susceptible. And so I get there and I know the host and I see the host in the hallway and I go, hey man, how are they? And he goes, well, their names are Gina, Ed, Rosie. And like he just named 5 people. And I was like, oh, fuck. And so it was literally 5 people. And that's the last show. That's the last like live show I did.
Is it harder to do a show with 5? We talked about how like Trevor Noah and
so much harder. It's when people say like, oh, for like a big show, oh, are you nervous? You doing a theater of 400 people, you nervous? I'm like, no, that's the easiest show I'll do. The tough show is when there's 5 people. Because here's the thing. If one person doesn't find you funny, that's 20% of the fucking crowd. So, and like each person is an individual.
I used to feel that way about tests with 4 questions. Like, if I don't know one thing, I'm fucked.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 1 thing you get a bad grade, 2 things you fail.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing. Yeah, imagine if like 2 of the people were a married couple. If they have a shared experience that means that renders a joke not funny to them, suddenly you've got 40% of the crowd not laughing.
Yeah. Huh.
They were sweethearts, but man, that was rough. We actually, with the live stream, we played to more people than that show.
But
Like
the live stream
in the
doesn't
live
have
chat.
feedback, right?
Well, they're
Like,
working
So
on-
no,
they're
that's
doing
what we
that.
do.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We have same thing we're doing right now. What we do is we have 3 hosts. So it's myself, Ben Glebe, and Chris Bowers.
Mhm.
We will have like a special guest. So that could be a famous comedian or it could be just a famous person. And then we'll have 3 comedians that'll come in and leave. And then we'll have 10 audience members. We use Zoom so that we can accommodate, 20 windows.
Oh, okay.
And
Ooh, how
and
much does
so
that
we
cost?
have-
Is that like a premium version of that?
now
that allows for
Zoom
20?
is, I think Zoom was like $20 or something. It's hardly anything.
What's the video
and
audio
so-
quality like?
It's decent. It's not this, but also people don't have setups at their home. Like what I'm doing now, when we were like sound checking before the show and you were like, no, move the mic closer and blah, blah, blah. Like this is probably way better than I've sounded on any of those live streams because most people are just on their phone.
Yeah, because we do
so
this weekly or this monthly hangout with our fans, or they sign up on Patreon and they pay, I think, $50
Yeah.
a month, and then we do a whole get together and we do it for 4 hours to accommodate the fact that sometimes we reach our room limit, which is like a dozen or
Yeah.
15 or something like that. And but
What
it
is
would be
that?
nice to be in a service where
Yeah,
like
dude, Zoom can do like 200 people, I think.
that's crazy.
That'd be-
Yeah, I very much recommend it.
I wouldn't want that.
No. I mean, you can cut it off whenever the fuck you want.
Yeah,
But
if you're
like,
performing, it's different because like they're
Yeah.
just like, hey, it'd be interesting to like be like, if they try to heckle you, you're just like, hang up.
yeah, exactly. Well, I did VR shows for years, and it was so funny because like someone would come in and just like yell something, and we had a moderator, and that person would be out before the sentence finished.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even have what did you say, man? Like I couldn't even have that. It was just like, well, that person dressed as a dinosaur is gone. Like it would just be, they would just be kicked. And
Nobody
on this
ever
though,
came in there beating it or anything.
I mean, in VR, sure, I'm sure they were doing
Oh,
doing
I meant
stuff
on
like that.
camera.
Oh, on camera? No. But we also, you can't come on camera unless you buy a ticket.
We used
So
to
you'd have
play,
to pay. Yeah,
on
you'd have to
on
pay
Xbox
$10.
Live. On Xbox Live,
Yeah.
you can play Uno, and you have your face cam. Like even on I had the webcam for the Xbox Live, so me and my friends were all looking at each other playing Uno, and I don't remember how many people you can have in a room, but it seemed like a real hangout for degenerates because like it'd be like a new window would pop in and it would buffer for a second, and then boop, dude jerking off. And you're just like, come on, we're playing Uno.
You're like, this is actual
Uno!"
roulette, not chat roulette. This is just
Yeah.
regular roulette.
Yeah, it was like chat roulette.
I'm sure there are terrible degenerates, but at the same time, tickets to this do cost money. So I'm at least hoping that, we don't run into that. And if we do, like, they're not just going to pop in because, people come in before we start. We tend to talk to them and they seem to be real sweethearts. And the fact of the matter is like my fans are nerds just like me. So like anyone who finds me funny is probably a nerd because I'm a nerd. You guys have some fucking monsters who watch this show, but for the most part, I have some real sweet kids.
I have a question. So I've been watching. I'm bad with names. Nikki Glazer. Does that
Yeah.
sound right?
Nikki's super funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I like her. She was saying that comedians don't like specials, that she doesn't like watching people's specials. She almost feels like it's a chore, like doing homework. So she's educated on someone's special. Do you feel like that?
I think it depends on whose. Like, definitely when Chappelle's special came out, I was like, okay, I have to watch this. This is in the zeitgeist, and I would enjoy it. But usually the way I watch a special, because I don't have a ton of time to like sit there and watch it, I'll play the audio in my car while I'm driving, so I can just kind of catch up on what someone's doing. But there are so many specials out now that it's part of why it feels like a chore is you'll never catch up.
You don't feel obligated, like in case you bump into this person to have seen their special?
No, I mean, I try, like, one of my close friends, she's like a little sister to me. I love her to death. Taylor Tomlinson, brilliantly talented. Her Netflix special dropped March 3rd. It is getting critical acclaim. People love it. This is going to change her career, assuming, the world still exists in a month. But I have not seen the special in its completion yet because I've been running around with the live stream thing. I was touring before that. I've seen a bunch of clips from it, and I would love to sit there and watch the whole thing. And I have seen the material before, so it's not like I'm going to be surprised by anything because I saw her prep for it. but like this is one of my close friends, and I haven't gotten a chance to see it yet. It's just something that like, you know, some people will sit there and watch hours and hours of comedy, and I'd rather write.
Okay. And in the other way, you're not offended at all if a comedian hasn't seen your stuff?
No, not at all. I mean, I have like, I kid around with some of my friends sometimes where like one of my buddies we were on tour with was like, hey, you should give me a copy of your book so I can read it. I was like, the one that's been out for a year? You want a copy of that one? You haven't read the one that's been out for a year? But at the same time, like I'm just giving them shit. And I'm almost surprised when my friends watch my stuff because it's kind of them and I appreciate it, but it's not for them. Like they're not my demo.
I used to make 1 or 2 YouTube videos every single day. And I had mixed feelings on watching other people's YouTube videos because sometimes I'd want to be abreast of what's happening in the community and such. Other times it'd be like, after I watch a couple of other people's videos, every idea I have for a video is now stolen or taken or like it almost cuts into my own inspiration because it's
but at the same time, I mean, it can, on one hand, it can be like, all right, I shouldn't talk about this. On the other hand, you can also see what people are talking about and try not to. Like one of the things we tell the people on the stream is like, hey, don't do 5 minutes on coronavirus. Everyone is. Like, just do your set. You know, people want to forget about this right now. So it does help to be aware of what's going on. But at the same time, like, you also don't want to have, you know, cryptomnesia, like we talked about before. So, you know, watch it as entertainment. But I always recommend comedians when they're starting out, look, once you find your voice, do what you want. But when you're on your way to finding your voice, watch as much as you can. And don't just watch good comedy, watch bad comedy and figure out why you don't like it. So that way you can avoid being that.
That's neat.
It's inspiration for not being shitty.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. My earbuds or AirPods or whatever. My earbuds. My basketball playing dog is running out of battery. So just a heads up.
Roger that. Yeah. Kyle.
Yes, sir.
Old school cowboy guns were like side loading. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
yeah,
the thing didn't.
So yeah, some of the revolvers, you have a little thing you flick to the side to expose the back of the cylinder, and you roll through one at a time. Click, click, click.
And you take the cartridge out one at a time too. Like, I guess you pop it.
Yeah. You open it again, and there's a ramrod that's under the barrel that's spring loaded, and you just press it down as you turn the cylinder. Ka-clink, 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 ka-clink.
They still make those? That sounds cool.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad has one. I believe the Ruger Super Blackhawk is like that. And maybe the Red Hawk. I get them confused sometimes. Very cool pistol.
Huh.
Yeah, I like those a lot. Yeah, I mean, I'll Google real quick and I'll tell you. Yeah, I like that. It's fun.
Right. It turns out I think I might be a bit of a impractical gun lover, you know, because I like lever actions a ton. When semi-auto would be better in every way I can think of. And I think I like that weird cowboy style loading and unloading. I don't know. It seems cool to me.
Well, here you go. This is the pistol that I have experience with. I'm not saying it's the best or anything like that, but they're fucking cool. His is in 44 Magnum, and
I prefer the Super Soaker 100.
Yeah,
if you're talking guns.
I think I want the
50's too small.
I like the impractically long barrel.
That's what he always gets, is the impractically long barrel. Yeah,
that was my nickname in high school.
Yeah, the one there that's $830 with a 10.5-inch barrel. I would say that is the one he has.
I think I even like it in. Is that called blue steel? The black?
Yeah, blued. Yeah. Yeah, I prefer that. That's exactly how he has it. He does not have the stainless steel model. I believe he has the stainless steel model of the Red Hawk, which is a double action revolver that the cylinder comes out the side, so you can load all the bullets at once and you can eject them all at once.
Very cool.
But yeah, those are cool. I'm pretty sure that I could be. No, I'm right. Yeah, I can see the little thing that flicks over now. He's got 2 of them that do this, and the other one's a Smith & Wesson. But yeah, I'm like 98% sure that I'm all right about everything I said there. I haven't played with that thing in years.
I just thought I'd ask. You mentioned cowboy guns, and I was like, those are neat. I like that.
I like cowboy guns too. Yeah, the old Colts. You know, like I really like the semi-automatic pistol from Boardwalk Empire that Darmody always carried around. I think
That was
it's
such a fun show.
for the first season, it was great. Second season, it's like, all right, I'm still with you. After that, I'm like, all right. I like the guy with the like Phantom of the Opera mask. He's the only thing that makes it worth watching.
Oh
afterwards.
yeah, he was the Richard. He was a great character.
Yeah, he was excellent. But after spoiler alert, that main character gets killed off. It's like, shit.
Yeah, I did not like the way that ended. And
I didn't either. Because he was just as big a part of the show as Buscemi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Knuckles, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, we've reached our 4 hours.
Steve, you check on your loved ones.
Checked on your loved ones. We appreciate
I'm
you
the
having
only
you on
one
the
in
show.
California right now.
But we appreciate you having you on the show. We're going to link all your stuff down there where they can go and check out your YouTube channel. And when is the live stream thing going to occur?
So live stream happens every 5 p.m. Pacific, except for Mondays and Thursdays. We have those days off. But tomorrow, special guest is going to be Sean Doolittle from the Nationals. And then Tuesday, special guest is going to be Arian Foster, who your viewers know very well. My friend and
You're
yours.
going to give Sean a hard time about the World Series debacle?
No, he's on the Nationals. They won. I'm going to thank him for defeating the
Astros.
No, he's on the Nationals. They beat the Astros, and as a Mets fan, normally we would be rooting against the Nationals, but I'm, God bless them for taking down the evil empire. We had no idea.
For sure. Yeah.
Very cool.
All right. Well, I think that's it. That's it.
Thanks,
you so
everybody.
much. PKA 483.
Bye.